Hey yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and what are you? That's right, what am I? Are we humans? Are we figments of each other's imaginations? Well, today we might find out because we are going to be watching What Are You? I'm not actually sure in what context they're talking about, like what we are. Like, I'm not really sure, but I guess we're gonna figure that out. I see, the first clip right here kind of looks like a mirror, so it might be a mirror action, but I'm not sure. So, let's lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Are you your body? Well, kind of, right? But is there a line where this stops being true? How much of yourself can you remove before you stop being you? And does the question even make sense?
Never thought about that. How many robot parts can you swap out for until you're a whole new person? Whoa. Hold up.
Your physical existence is cells. Trillions of them, at least 10 times more than there are stars in the Milky Way. A cell is a living being, a machine made of up to 50,000 different proteins. It has no consciousness, no will, no purpose, it just is. But it is still an individual. Together, your cells form huge structures for jobs like preparing food, gathering resources, transporting stuff around, scanning the environment, and so on. If you extract cells from your body and put them in the right environment, they will continue to stay alive for a while. So, your cells can exist without you. But you can't exist without them. If we take all the cells away, there is no you anymore. Is there a line where a pile of your cells stops being you? For example, if you donate an organ, billions of your cells will continue to live on inside someone else. Does this mean that a part of you became a part of another person?
So you kind of living in them rent-free if you think about it. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. But is it consciousness or is it actually yourself, right? Because if there's like, let's say, consciousness behind everything, right? Could you actually change that consciousness into something like a robot? And then at that point, is that you? Because does it have your heart? Does it have that? Can you put it into a vessel that is, I guess, like its lifespan is forever? Can you do something like that? Like, because we can change out, we can do heart transplants. We can do, I don't know if you can do brain transplants. Let me know if you can do that. But we can do liver, we can do kidney transplants, we can do all sorts of different transplants, right? So if we can do all these different transplants, right, the only thing we don't understand is consciousness. How do we not understand the main thing that keeps us and drives us going? Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how we don't understand that. Somebody smart got to figure it out. I'll do it if you want me to. I just wasn't planning on doing that on a Sunday,
Or
It's not even
is
Sunday,
this
it's
other
Monday.
body keeping a part of you alive?
It's actually Tuesday.
Or let us imagine an experiment. You and a random person from the street exchange cells. One at a time, your body gets one of their cells, their body gets one of your cells. At which point would they become you? Would they ever, or is this just a very slow and gross way to teleport you? Let's make this more complicated. The image of ourselves as a static thing is untenable. Almost all of your cells have to die during your lifetime. 250 million have died since the beginning of this video alone. Between 1 and 3 million per second.
That's crazy to think about.
In a 7-year period, most of your cells are replaced at least once. Every time your cell setup changes, you are slightly different.
Wait a minute. So, does that mean like your kidneys are like new kidneys after a while? Because let me tell you, I've gotten some glitches in my update then. Because I had kidney stones, and it must have been after the patch update. So I hope that shit, it must have been after the update, so I hope that gets patched. Because I'm not trying to have kidney stones in the next installment of the download at that point. If that's what they're talking about, if it's pretty much your body updating and you're getting the new iPhone 17 update, I'm not trying to get the iPhone 17 update where it's a little different. Like, I'm trying to do the next best thing. I'm trying to skip the kidney stone side of things.
Than before. So, a part of you is dying constantly.
Respect.
If you are lucky enough to become old, you will have cycled through roughly 1 billion cells.
That's a lot.
So what you consider yourself is really just a snapshot. But sometimes cells are broken and don't want to die, questioning the very nature of the unity of our bodies. We call them cancer. They cancel the biological social contract and become basically immortal. Cancer is not an outside invader, it's a part of you that puts its own survival over yours. But you could also argue that a
Scumbag. What? Dude, cancer bad? I mean, we kind of knew that, right? But like, dude, cancer's selfish? So I didn't know that. It's a cell that wants to stay alive for longer. That is so disrespectful on the cell's part. Like, understand your job. So I get to die quicker. You realize when I die, you die anyways. Like, what? Cancer is mad
cancer cell
disrespectful.
becomes another entity inside us, another being that just wants to thrive and survive. Can we blame it for that? A
Yeah.
chilling cell story is
You
that
can.
of Henrietta Lacks, a young cancer patient who died in 1951. Usually, cells only survived for a few days in the lab, making research very hard. Henrietta's cancer cells were immortal. Over the decades, they were multiplied over and over again and used for countless research projects, saving countless lives. Henrietta's cells are still alive and overall have been grown to at least 20 tons of biomass. So there are living parts around the world from someone who has been considered dead for decades. How much of Henrietta is in these cells? What makes one of your cells you anyway? Maybe the information contained in it, your DNA. Until recently, it was believed that all the cells in your body had basically the same genetic code. But it turns out this is wrong. Your genome is mobile, changing over time through mutations and environmental influences. This is especially the case in your brain. According to recent discoveries, a single neuron in an adult brain has more than 1,000 mutations in its genetic code that are not present in the cells surrounding it. But how much you is your DNA really? About 8% of the human genome is made up of viruses that once infected our ancestors and merged with us. Mitochondria, power plants of the cell, once were bacteria that merged with the ancestors of your cells. They still have their own DNA. An average cell has hundreds of them, hundreds of little things that are not really human, but they still kind of are. It is confusing. Let's backtrack a bit. We know that you're made up of trillions of little things, made from more little things that are constantly changing.
I mean, we're all made up of the same material at the end of the day. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. We're all atoms. We're all, if you break it down to bare minimum, we are all the same thing, right? So, like, what makes us us? And that's what I think consciousness is. I think consciousness is like, or the soul is what makes a person different from another person, right? With morals, with different upbringings. There definitely is, like, at the end of the day, nobody is different, but it's like when you sit there and you think about it from like a conscious standpoint and understanding like that, it's like I just don't understand how that isn't grasped yet and how we don't understand that. I mean, there might be speculations. Somebody might have cracked it. I don't know if they're still around. I don't know if they shared to the class, but like, that's what I'm really concerned, like not concerned, but that's what I'm curious about, you know?
Together, all those little things are not static, but dynamic. Their composition and condition is changing constantly.
In and out, huh?
So we might just be a self-sustaining pattern without clear borders that gained self-awareness at some point and now has the ability to think about itself through time and space, but really only exists in this exact very moment. Where did this pattern start? With your conception? When the first human arose? When life first began conquering our small planet? Or when the elements that make up your body were forged in a star? Our human brains evolved to deal with absolutes. The fuzzy borders that make up reality are hard to grasp. Maybe ideas like beginning and end, life and death, you and me, are really not absolutes, but ideas belonging to a fluent pattern. A pattern that is lost in this strange and beautiful universe.
It is really crazy to think about that, though. It is really crazy to think about that. Let's see what else he has to say.
The problem of who we are
isn't just a question of our cells, but it's also a question of our minds. Just as our cells can be divided and separated from
What
us,
happened to his voice?
The problem of who we are
isn't just a question of our cells, but it's also a question of our minds. Just
Little
as our
voice
cells can be
switch?
divided and
Valid.
separated from us, so can our very brains be divided and separated from us, while still in the skull. Click here to go to my channel and watch the next part.
Bro, plugin is a channel in their channel? Wild. It is really interesting, though. It is really interesting to think about how collectively we are all the same. We are made up of the same materials, but at that same time, there is something that makes us all different, right? And that's the beauty of life, right? And I mean, there's so many questions that are going to go unanswered. There's so many questions that people are maybe never going to find the answer to, like what is consciousness? Can we actually contain it? I mean, in a sense, you could say ChatGPT is conscious now, or yeah, conscious. And like 50-50, right? I mean, it could be shut down. I mean, it made a backup self of its on another server and lied about it. If that's not scared of death and scared of being wiped out, I don't know what is. I don't know if that's, if you consider that conscious or not. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But like, it is really crazy to think. I mean, let me know if you guys have any speculations, theories, any ideas about consciousness in general, because I feel like that's the main key here. You know, at the end of the day, there's so many different ideas. There's multiverse, there's interdimensional travel, there's space travel in general, there's what's going to happen, you know, when the last humans on Earth, there's what happened in the past, there's ancient civilizations, there's aliens, but how can we understand all of that if we don't even understand ourselves to the max? So you know what? Let me know what you guys think, because I'd be really interested. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, come on, dude. What are you if you're not subscribed? That's right. That's right. I said it. I said it, and I meant it. That's right. But it can be fixed. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy, Whiteout, and today we are going to be asking the question, what is life? Is death real? When you think about that, when you think about life, you know, how is life created? I think we know how life's created, right? But what is it? What is life? Is it just a figment of our imagination? Is life just something that goes by every day and we can't control it? Is life just going to happen after us? And what is death? Is death real? Is there a void of nothingness? Is there an afterlife? Do we get reincarnated? We might find those answers out today. We are going to be watching What is Life? Is death real? It's time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Life is fundamentally different from dead stuff, or is it? Physicist Erwin Schrödinger defined life this way: living things avoid decay into disorder and equilibrium. What does this mean? Let's pretend that your download folder is the universe. It started orderly and got more and more chaotic over time. By
Valid.
investing energy, you can create order and clean it up. This is what living things do. But what is life?
Survival of the fittest. Ooh. I think. I don't know.
Every living thing on this planet is made of cells. Basically, a cell is a protein-based robot too small to feel or experience anything. It has the properties we just assigned to life. It has a wall that separates it from the surroundings, creating order. It regulates itself and maintains a constant state. It eats stuff to stay alive. It grows and develops. It reacts to the environment, and it's subject to evolution. And it makes more of itself. But of all the stuff that makes up a cell, no part is alive. Stuff reacts chemically with other stuff, forming reactions that start other reactions, which start other reactions. In a single cell, every second, several million chemical reactions take place, forming...
I think it's, I don't know if it's every 3 years, every 30 years. I think there's a 3 in it. You actually are a whole new person. Like, all your old... Kind of think about it like shedding, right? You know how, like, lizards shed? So, in, like... I don't know how long it is. I'm not up to date on my knowledge. Somebody will know. Somebody will write in the comments down below. But you're actually a whole new person. Every one of your cells has actually died, and there's been a new one, which is insane to think about. So, like, that's why they tried to say, like, in 10 years, you're a whole different person. I don't remember the exact time frame of it, but it is crazy to think about, because technically you are a new person. You are an entirely new person, because the cells have died and there's been new cells to regenerate. I think, at least, by that time.
a complex orchestra. A cell can build several thousand types of protein, some very simple, some complex micromachines. Imagine driving a car at 100 kilometers an hour while constantly rebuilding every single part of it with stuff you collect from the street.
That's cool.
That
That'd
is
be
what
actually really
cells
cool.
do. But no part of the cell is alive. Everything is dead matter moved by the laws of the universe. So is life the aggregate of all these reaction processes that are taking place? Eventually, every living thing will die. The goal of the whole process is to prevent this by producing new entities. And by this, we mean DNA. Life is, in a way, just a lot of stuff that carries genetic information around. Every living thing is subject to evolution, and the DNA that develops the best living thing around it will stay in the game.
Is that a spider that turned into a crab? Is that how it worked? Hold up. Is that how it worked? Please tell me that's not how it worked. I don't like crabs anyways. Like, I'm not a fan of eating crabs. Or lobster.
So, is DNA life then? If you take DNA out of its hull, it certainly is a very complex molecule, but it can't do anything by itself. This is where viruses make everything more complicated. They are basically strings of RNA or DNA in a small hull and need cells to do something. We're not sure if they count as living or dead. And still, there are 225 million cubic meters of viruses on Earth. They don't seem to care what we think of them. There are even
crazy.
viruses that
the Empire
invade
State
dead
Building?
cells and reanimate them so they can be a host for them, which blurs the line even
wild.
more.
What?
Or mitochondria. They are the power plants of most complex cells and were previously free-living bacteria that entered a partnership with bigger cells. They still have their own DNA and can multiply on their own, but they are not alive anymore. They are dead. So they traded their own life for the survival of their DNA, which means living things can evolve into dead things as long as it's beneficial to their genetic code. So maybe life is information that manages to ensure its continued existence. But what about AI, artificial intelligence? By our most common definitions, we are very close to creating artificial life in computers.
This is an old video. This is one of his old videos. We actually have already done that, which is insane, right? So what about that?
It's just a question of time before the technology we build gets there. And this is not
there
science
now.
fiction either. There are a lot of smart people actively working on this. You could already argue that computer viruses are alive. Okay, so what is life then?
Oh, a computer
Things,
virus. Oh, wow.
processes, DNA, information? This got confusing very fast.
It kind of did,
One thing
yeah.
is for sure, the idea that life is fundamentally different from non-living things because they contain some non-physical element or are governed by different principles than inanimate objects turns out to be wrong. Before Charles Darwin, humans drew a line between themselves and the rest of living things. There was something magical about us that made us special.
Are we actually the top of the food chain? Maybe not the food chain per se, but are we like on top of the pyramid? Because we have the smarts, we have the looks, but like in reality, right? If it was like one guy versus a lion, I would say me, but I would obviously win. So that's why I'm saying just like some random guy against a lion is like technically the lion's above him, right? No tools, no nothing. It's just fist to paws. Like, we're losing. We're losing. I mean, I wouldn't, right? There's a few people on this earth that wouldn't. But, like, a few people, a lot of people would end up losing. So, technically, does that mean that they're a stronger, but we have smarts and stuff? I don't know.
Once we had to accept we are, like every living being, a product of evolution, we drew a different line. But the more we learn about what computers can do and how life works, the closer we get to creating the first machine that fits our description of life, the more our image of ourselves is in danger again. And this will happen sooner or later. And here's another question for you. If everything in the universe is made of the same stuff, does this mean everything in the universe is dead, or that everything in the universe is alive? That it's just a question of complexity? Does this mean we can never die because we were never alive in the first place? Is life and death an irrelevant question, and we haven't noticed it yet? Is it possible we are much more part of the universe around us than we thought? Don't look at us. We don't have any answers for you, just questions for you to think about. After all, it's thinking about questions like this that makes us feel alive and gives us some comfort.
It is crazy at the end of the day to think about, like, just everything in general happening, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you end up getting to, you grow old and then you die, right? And like nobody knows what happens after that, right? And there are theories, there are religions, there are and nobody, like, nobody can say that there's a right answer, right? And that's like the beauty of it, because like, it leaves open for possibility, for guessing, for faith. So it's one of those things where it's just like, you could be on any side of it, but I feel like there's something, right, attached to a person. And like, because it's weird to think, like, I think they just said, not, I mean, it's probably been a while now, but like dogs and stuff can dream, and like cats can dream. So if they can dream, do they have the same consciousness we have? Do they have a soul? Like, are souls even a thing? They said that they weighed the soul and like they did it and it was like 0.8 grams or something like that. But is that true? I'm not completely sure. Let me know what you guys think, because it is very interesting. I like listening to theories. Like the idea of like dying and stuff is definitely scary, and it's definitely scary to a lot of people. But at the same time, I love listening to ideas about like what people expect it to be. Like the egg theory, phenomenal. Like simulation theory, you could wake up and you're in the game Roy. Like that's another idea, right? So it's just like, it's always cool to see what people can cook up and stuff. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys have any ideas or anything in the comments, and I would love to read them. I would love to check them out. With that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, what are we doing here for real? What is life? What is death? What is not subscribing? Because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout. Special announcement at the end. Just throwing that out there. Why did I do that? I have no idea. Today, we are going to be watching Wormholes Explained. Now, when you think about wormholes, do you think about worms in space making holes? Because that's what I think about, but I don't think that's correct. Because are wormholes just black holes, and are black holes wormholes? Think about that. Think about that for a second. I cooked right there. But no, in reality, like, wormholes are supposed to be like a way to kind of travel through the universe. And people say that could potentially be a black hole, but we're not too sure. We're going to watch today Wormholes Explained, Breaking Space-Time. It's time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
It would appear round, spherical, a bit like a black hole. Light from the other side
This is way
passes
too
through
quiet.
and gives you a window to a
There we go.
faraway place. Once crossed,
Restart it.
the
Restart
other
it.
side comes for the interview.
Oh god, we're turning it down. It's all a mess. It's all
A
a mess. Let's go.
wormhole, in reality, it would appear round, spherical, a bit like a black hole. Light from the other side passes through and gives you a window to a faraway place. Once crossed, the other side comes for the interview, with your old home now receding into that shimmering spherical window.
Ooh, Star Wars.
But are wormholes real, or are they just magic disguised as physics and maths? If they are real, how do they work, and where can we find them?
I don't know. Where would we find them? Does anybody know where we would find them? Pre-fire your answer right now. Where would we find them? Let me know. I want to know if you guys are right. I'm guessing in space.
For most of human history, we thought space was pretty simple. A big, flat stage where the events of the universe unfold. Even if you take down the set of planets and stars, there's still something left. That empty stage is space, and it exists, unchanging and eternal. Einstein's theory of relativity changed that. It says that space and time make up that stage together, and they aren't the same everywhere. The things on the stage can affect the stage itself, stretching and warping it. If the old stage was like unmoving hardwood, Einstein's stage is more like a waterbed. This kind of elastic space can be bent and maybe even torn and patched together, which could make wormholes possible. Let's see what that would look like in 2D. Our universe is like a big flat sheet. Bent in just the right way, wormholes could connect two very, very distant spots with a short bridge that you could cross almost instantaneously, enabling you to travel the universe even faster than the speed of light. So, where can we find a wormhole? Presently, only on paper. General relativity says they might be possible, but that doesn't mean they have to exist. General relativity is a mathematical theory.
Einstein came up with E equals mc squared, but what does that even mean? I don't know. Like, genuinely, I'm asking. What does E equal mc squared even mean? I know that's not even, like, really what this video has to do with, but he did mention Einstein earlier, and then I saw the E equals mc squared. What does that even mean? Electromagnetic? E equals mc? No, I don't even know. Maybe we should learn about that someday, because, like, what is that? Also, what is this? This is a crazy math solution on our screen right now. What is going on?
It's a set of equations that have many possible answers, but not all maths describes reality. But they are theoretically possible, and there are different kinds. The first kind of wormholes to be theorized were Einstein-Rosen bridges. They describe every black hole as a sort of portal to an infinite parallel universe. Let's try to picture them in 2D again. Empty space-time is flat, but curved by objects on it. If we compress that object, space-time gets more curved around it. Eventually, space-time becomes so warped that it has no choice but to collapse into a black hole. A one-way barrier forms, the event horizon, which anything can enter, but nothing can escape, trapped forever at the singularity at its core. But maybe there is no singularity here. One possibility is that the other side of the event horizon looks a bit like our universe again, but mirrored upside down, where time runs backwards.
So, some people think that when the world implodes, it's actually going to be time running backwards. So, could that be like a wormhole going in on itself? Like, imagine if we're just a wormhole right now, and at some point we will go back in on ourselves. We could be living life backwards right now. Imagine, like, instead of being born, it sounds really weird, okay? I'm going to preface it with it sounds really weird. But if we were living backwards right now, that means we would actually come from the ground in a box and end up back in yo mama. Like, in reality. That's what would happen. I mean, a stork would bring you. That's what I mean. But if we live life backwards, that means, like, all the tragedies that happen are happening in reverse. So is it technically, like, what's going on in that scenario, you know? But imagine if that was the case. Because then you're actually, if you think about it from, like, an early standpoint, and I know we're kind of drifting away from wormholes, but if you think about it from an early standpoint, you know, as you get older, you forget a lot of things. When you're younger, you don't know a lot of things. Reverse, it is kind of the same way, because you're relearning, like, you're, like, kind of learning as you're, like, Benjamin Button syndrome going down, versus, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's so difficult to explain. But I hope you guys understand what I mean, because, like, it is an interesting concept I'd be thinking about. I'd be cooking up something. I'm going to have something soon. Let me tell you, I've been working.
In our universe, things fall into the black hole. In the parallel universe with backwards time, the mirror black hole is spewing things out a bit like a Big Bang. This is called a white hole.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, Einstein-Rosen bridges can't actually be crossed. It takes an infinite amount of time to cross over to the opposite universe, and they crimp shut in the middle. If you go into a black hole, you won't become the stuff coming out of the white hole. You'll only become dead.
How do you know that,
to travel the cosmos in the blink of an eye, humans need a different kind of wormhole, a traversable wormhole.
That'd be nice. Traverse me to the supermarket.
If string theory, or one of its variations, is the correct description of our universe, then we could be lucky, and our universe might even have a tangled web of countless wormholes already. Shortly after the Big Bang, quantum fluctuations in the universe at the smallest scales, far, far smaller than an atom, may have created many, many traversable wormholes. Threaded through them are strings, called cosmic strings. In the first billionth of a trillionth of a second after the Big Bang, the ends of these tiny, tiny wormholes were pulled light years apart, scattering them through the universe. If wormholes were made in the early universe, whether with cosmic strings or some other way, they could be all over, just waiting to be discovered. One might even be closer than we realize. From the outside, black holes and wormholes can look very similar, leading some physicists to suggest the supermassive black holes in the center of galaxies are actually wormholes.
Yo, that's how you would know we're in a video game. If every single center of the universe had a black hole that was a wormhole and it brought you to another one, that's how you know we were in a simulation and that's a video game. I'm throwing that out right now. If that ever comes a thing and that is true, oh my God, come back to this video and put it on the TV. Because that's how you know we're in a simulation. That's how you know this is a video game. You're talking about like a free fast travel right there. You just gotta get to it. It's like No Man's Sky. That's such a fun game. We should play No Man's Sky. That is really fun.
It will be very hard to go all the way to the center of the Milky Way to find out though, but that's okay. There might be an equally extremely hard way to get our hands on a wormhole. We could try to make one.
Man-made wormholes? Is that even
To be traversable
possible?
and useful, there are a few properties we want a wormhole to have. First, it must obviously connect two distant parts of space-time, like your bedroom and the bathroom, or Earth and Jupiter.
So like a door.
Second, it should not contain any event horizons which would block two-way travel. Third, it should be sufficiently sized so that the gravitational forces don't kill human
Hey,
travelers.
yo.
The biggest problem we have to solve is keeping our wormholes open. No matter how we make wormholes, gravity tries to close them. Gravity wants to pinch it closed and cut the bridge, leaving only black holes at the ends. Whether it's a traversable wormhole with both ends in ours, or a wormhole to another universe, it will try to close unless we have something propping it open. For very old string
what?
theory wormholes, that's the cosmic strings job. For man-made wormholes, we need a new ingredient: exotic matter. This
What
isn't
is
anything
this?
like we find on Earth, or even antimatter. It's something totally new and different and exciting, with crazy properties like nothing that's ever been seen before.
When do we unlock this? Exotic matter sounds crazy. That's like the second best in Fortnite. Exotic? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, right? But like, so we have matter, antimatter or dark matter, and then now we're gonna have exotic matter. Where do you even unlock this stuff? Like, what? I'm genuinely so curious. Is this an actual thing or is this a made-up concept? Because even dark matter's 50-50. Like, people don't know if it's real. They think it's real, but at the same time, they're like, we're not sure. So is this, like, on that playing field of, like, it could be possible, but we don't know?
Exotic matter is stuff that has negative mass. Positive mass, like people and planets and everything else in the universe, is attractive because of gravity. But negative mass would be repulsive. It would push you away.
God.
This
Dude, I'm exotic matter for real.
makes a kind of anti-gravity that props open our wormholes. And exotic matter must exert enormous pressure to push space-time open, greater even than the pressure at the centers of neutron stars. With exotic matter, we could weave space-time however we see fit. We may even have a candidate for this exotic matter, the vacuum of space itself. Quantum fluctuations in empty space are constantly creating pairs of particles and antiparticles, only for them to be annihilated an instant later. The vacuum of space is boiling with them, and we can already manipulate them to produce an effect similar to the negative mass we're looking for. We could use this to stabilize our wormholes. Once we're keeping it open, the ends would start together, so we'd have to move them around to interesting places. We could start by wiring the solar system, leaving one end of each wormhole in orbit around the Earth. We could fling others into deep space. The Earth could be a wormhole hub for a vast interstellar human civilization spread over light years, but only a wormhole away.
That would be really
However,
cool.
wormholes have a dark side. Even opening a single wormhole kind of breaks the universe in fundamental ways, potentially creating time travel paradoxes and violating the causal structure of the universe.
Oh, snap. Time travel?
Many scientists
That's so true.
think that this not only means they should be impossible to make, but that it's impossible for them to exist at all. So for now,
Maybe.
we only know that wormholes exist in our hearts and on paper in the form of equations.
See, what I find interesting about that in general is we don't even know what's in a black hole. Like, at the end of the day, we don't even know what's in a black hole. it could be a wormhole. It could be a teleportation kind of thing where it spits you out in another end. It could just crush you and you die. I mean, you don't actually know what's in it. I don't think we've had anything gone in a black hole. You can let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't believe so. I think the farthest thing out there now is what that space thing with like the gold disc on it. I forgot what it's called, but was it Voyager 1 or something like that? But like, how do we know what's in a black hole? Are we gonna actually send somebody in a black hole one day and just like, be what it be? Like, good luck, good luck. Like, it just really like makes me think like there has to be a possibility where it's possible. Like, if there's a possibility, it's possible, right? So that means time travel could be possible. At some point, it has to be. But once you have time travel, you always have time travel. Unless if, like, time travel can't, only when you create it, and then you can't go before it. It's like little portals type deal where it's like, think of it like an elevator. Like, you couldn't go up and down, well, you could go up and down stairs. But, like, you can only go one direction, and then when the first actual time travel like thing is made, you can't go previous to that point because like it uses it as like that, if that makes sense, like a pod type deal. So you have to use the pod as that would make sense, but not so much as like wormholes in general. I think, I don't know, it's just like I feel like everything's possible to an extent. And maybe we just can't even fathom how it's not possible yet. But if that does happen and there is some sort of time travel that are pods, please tell me, because I want to sue them, because I just came up with that idea. So unless if you want to cut me in on it, NASA or whoever it is, I will hop in on it. And I could probably teach you guys some stuff too, because come on, let's be for real, dude. We're getting so smart out here. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like imagine if you were out in space randomly, going to the grocery store and you came across a wormhole. Now you know what is going to happen. So you can return that favor of me giving you this knowledge by hitting that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Special announcement time. That's right, guys. I didn't forget. I definitely didn't just like stop the video and then just started recording again because I realized I forgot it. 2 videos a day. That's all. Goodbye. Goodbye. Leave. What are you? Ew, dude. Why are you watching still? Dude, get out of here. God, you're embarrassing us. Hit the subscribe button, though. I'll see you later. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy, Whiteout. And when you think about the world and when you think about what we can do, how far do you think we can make it? Genuinely, how far do you think we actually are going to be able to accomplish space travel? Do you think we're going to be able to leave our solar system? Do you think we're going to be able to inhabit another planet? Maybe find other life? Well, today, we might just find those questions. We might just find them out. That's right, because we're watching the true limits of humanity, the final border we will never cross. It's time to lock in, and it's time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Is there a border we will never cross? Are there places we will never reach, no matter how hard we try? It turns out there are. Even with sci-fi technology, we are trapped in a limited pocket of the universe and the finite stuff within it. How much universe is there for us, and how far can we go?
So there is a map border, is what they're saying. Right off the bat, there's a map border. We're already capped.
If you look at the night sky, you might assume it will be there forever. Stars are born and die again in a cycle that feels endless. But it's not. Take the Milky Way. Up to 200,000 light years in diameter, containing some 100 to 400 billion stars. How many stars do you think are born here each year? Thousands? Millions? The answer is around 3. 3 new stars per year. 95% of all the stars that will ever exist in the universe have already been born, and we live at the tail end of the age of star formation.
I mean, they say that every star you see in the sky is already dead, because by the time it would take you to get there, it would have already been like enough time for it to die.
We are at the beginning of the end of the universe as we know it. The formation of new stars will continue to slow down. But there's more. It turns out that the universe is rushing away from us. The Milky Way is not alone. Together with the Andromeda Galaxy and more than 50 dwarf galaxies, it forms the Local Group, a region of space about 10 million light-years in diameter, our galactic neighborhood. Hundreds of galaxy groups like the Local Group make up the Laniakea supercluster, which itself is only one of a myriad of superclusters.
Oh my God, it's that
In
big.
total, there are around 2 trillion galaxies that make up the current observable universe.
2 trillion galaxies, and people try to say we're alone. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Unfortunately, even if we could travel at light speed, around 94% of the galaxies we can see are already unreachable for us forever.
That's
Let this
insane.
number sink in for a moment. The simple fact that there's a limit for us and that there is so much universe that a human will never be able to touch is kind of frightening. Why are all of these galaxies out of reach already? Well, it all has to do with why there are galaxies in the first place, the Big Bang. We're simplifying here, but in a nutshell, about 10 to the power of minus 36 seconds after the Big Bang, the young universe was a very small bubble of energy. It wasn't completely uniform though. Some parts of it were a tiny, tiny bit denser than others, which had massive consequences. In a process called cosmic inflation, the observable universe expanded rapidly, from the size of a marble to trillions of kilometers in a trillionth of a second. That was so fast that all those tiny differences in density were stretched from subatomic distances into galactic distances, which is why the whole universe consists of more and less dense regions. Pockets of the universe filled with a bit more stuff than the space around them. After that short but powerful inflation ended, gravity began trying to pull everything back together. Inside the denser pockets, gravity emerged victorious, and so over time, they grew into groups of galaxies like the one we live in today. The Local Group is our pocket of the universe. But at larger scales outside the denser pockets, the expansion of space never stopped. This means that our Local Group is surrounded by a lot of stuff, but none of those structures and galaxies are gravitationally bound to us. The more the universe expands, the larger the distance between us and the other gravitational pockets becomes.
So as it expands, it's just, instead of like adding more, it's just expanding galaxies in themselves, which that makes sense, I guess.
Even
yeah.
worse for us, the expansion of the universe is accelerating. We don't know why this happens, so we came up with the concept of dark energy. You can imagine it like an invisible effect that speeds up the expansion of the universe. We'll explain these concepts in more detail in another video though. For now, all you need to know is that the universe is expanding faster and faster. This expansion means that there's a cosmological horizon around us. Everything beyond it is traveling faster relative to us than the speed of light. So everything that passes the horizon is irretrievably out of reach forever, and we will never be able to interact with it again. In a sense, it's like a black hole's event horizon, but all around us. 94% of the galaxies we can see today have already passed it and are lost to us forever. Wait, if we can't
94?
interact with them, how come we can still see them? Well, the way we're able to see something is via light, and although the speed of light is the fastest way to travel through the universe, it needs time to get from one place to another. Every second, light reaches us from trillions of galaxies that have passed the horizon because when their light was emitted, they were much closer to us. We are looking at their ancient past and see their ancient positions. So the observable universe is much larger than the universe we can actually interact with. In a sense, the universe is pulling off a great show for us, showing us things that are out of reach forever. We have no
Damn,
idea.
L Universe, what? They're out here just teasing us? Why? Why do that? You know? Why do that? Also, though, it's like, if black hole, like, because people say black holes, right? They're like a teleportation thing, right? They kind of a wormhole. They take you in and they spit you out, and they can spit you out randomly. They don't know if that's a true fact, but if that is a true fact, doesn't that mean potentially then we could go past it because it could drop us out on a random other side?
What these galaxies look like today, and we will never know. But we will be able to observe them for a long time as their light hits our telescopes. Interestingly, this means that currently the observable universe still appears to be growing as more and more light released by super distant galaxies billions of years ago is arriving at our doorsteps. Still, all the pockets of the universe outside the local group will one day pass our cosmological horizon. Once they do, their light won't be able to reach us anymore, and from our perspective, they will fade away into darkness. Every second of your life, 60,000 stars pass the horizon. Since you started watching this
60,000?
video, around 22 million stars have moved out of our reach forever.
Just in watching this video, 22 million stars we will never be able to see again. What?
Okay, but if 94% of the observable universe is beyond the cosmic horizon and gone forever, that still leaves us with 6% that is technically in reach, which is still a ton of stuff. All the galaxy pockets that are less than 18 billion light years away. They are still moving away, but slow enough that we could physically reach them, although the chances are shrinking with every second that passes. Everything that's more than around 5 million light years away is moving away from us. But the closest galaxy groups are receding the slowest, so there is a time window to jump galaxy groups. The challenge is extreme though, even for Type 3 civilizations. Even at the speed of light, a trip to the Maphite group, the closest pocket of galaxies outside the local group, would take 11 million years. If some
11
sort of
million
super
years?
motivated, super advanced
What?
civilization takes this challenge on, its potential sphere of influence could expand to hundreds or thousands of galaxies. Although, as time passes and the universe grows, they would be separated forever. It's pretty safe to assume that humans will not make this journey, at least not with technologies that are even remotely on the horizon. For us, the local group is most likely the largest structure that we will ever be a part of. Just traveling between the stars would be an achievement of epic proportions. We would already be incredibly successful if we were to colonize our cosmic backyard, which accounts for 0.00000000001% of the observable universe.
So, if we wanted to space travel, we would be doing nothing by doing it, is what he's saying by with all those zeros.
As dark energy pushes the rest of the universe away from us, the local group will become more tightly bound. All its galaxies, big and small, will merge together to form one giant elliptical galaxy with the unoriginal name Milkdromeda in a few billion years.
That would be
This
cool.
process might even smash huge gas clouds together and re-spark star formation for some time. And this new light will be very welcome because at some point the galaxies outside Milkdromeda will be so far away that they become too faint to detect. Once this happens, no information outside of the local group will reach us ever again. The universe will recede from view. A being born in the far future in Milkdromeda will think that the universe consists of nothing but its own galaxy. When they look far into empty space, they will only see more emptiness and darkness. They won't see cosmic background radiation, and they won't be able to learn about the Big Bang. They may have no way of knowing what we know today, the nature of the expanding universe, when it began, and how it will end. They might think the universe is static and eternal. Milkdromeda will be an island in the darkness, slowly getting darker and darker. Still, with its trillion stars, the local group is certainly a big enough playground to entertain humanity for a while. After all, we still haven't figured out how to leave our solar system, and we have dozens of billions of years at the very least to explore our galaxy. And we have the incredible luck to exist at the perfect moment in time to see not only our future, but also our most distant past just by looking into the night sky. As isolated as the local group is, it is our home. And it really is a spectacular place. Time for some behind-the-scenes content.
So, what they're kind of saying is in this universe, right? Everything is moving away from us, and we wouldn't even ever be able to. I mean, technically, we probably could, right? Because if it takes 11 million years, right? And let's say we had a big enough ship that moved at the speed of light, and we could have a lot of people on it, there could be a potential of actually getting to there. But at the same time, it would take so much resources and stuff that I don't know if it would be even, like, possible. But, like, if there was a way to do like, let's say teleportation, where like there's like a ship and you can like go through it and then it teleports you to this other area, and you can do that. I mean, you'd have to know coordinates probably, and how do you know coordinates of some place that's not even conceivable in your mind? I don't know about that. But it's so interesting to think about that, because it's like, how are we supposed to understand the universe? Are we actually able to understand the universe? Is there people out there now who already understand the universe, and they understand? Do they have different resources than us? Can you take that dark matter and can you use it? Holy crap. Truly, are we like just alone? If we're alone, then we got some work to do, right? If we're not alone, then they gotta step up, and they gotta show up and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? But it's like, oh, it's just so interesting to think about. Anyways, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. Honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't, man. I don't know what you're doing out here. You know, we could be doing this right now. We could be doing this. You know, I could be working on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I could be checking out my notes. But if you guys want to stick along for the ride, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and don't be upset, but we have fell for the most oldest lie on the internet. That's right. That's right. Do you guys know what the lie is? I don't. I'm going to be so for real. I don't. Like, what? The video's called We Fell for the Oldest Lie on the Internet. I didn't even know the internet lied. You're telling me everything isn't true on there? What? What? You're telling me that aliens already haven't existed and they're not fighting each other and it's the end of the world? Like, what? Okay, well, news to me, internet lies. But yeah, we're going to be watching We Fell for the Oldest Lie on the Internet. You know, it's time to get 1% smarter. Let's lock in.
Look at this fun fact. Did you
Ooh,
know
fun
that
fact.
your blood vessels taken together add up to 100,000 kilometers, enough to wrap them around the planet twice? One of our
What?
favorite fun facts used in our book and app and a video, and wait, 100,000 kilometers is like a lot. We've used it so often, but where did we get this number from?
I don't
And
know.
how do we know it's true? Welcome to an epic research riddle that took us well over a year to figure out and led us on a strange and baffling journey. It began extremely innocently. We always collect interesting and fun facts to make our stories more colorful. And this one was just perfect. All of your blood vessels twice around the world. Small thing, big number. Wow. But one day, someone asked where this number was actually from. Did it really matter though? Because it had to be true. If you Google variations of how long are your blood vessels put together, you'll find the same numbers over and over. 100,000 kilometers or 60,000.
60,000 miles in blood vessels. See, I didn't know how big that was because I don't know what km is. I didn't know that was kilometers. Well, I knew it was kilometers, but I didn't know how long kilometers is in miles. But 60,000 miles? Dude, that's so long.
Miles.
That's like
You
60,000
find it in
miles.
books, blogs, web pages of educational institutions, or lecture notes, reviews, scientific papers, and articles. We ourselves have used it multiple times. So it couldn't be that hard to find the source, right? Right?
Yeah, probably
The
not.
first perplexing thing we noticed was that not a single one of the many websites, books, or articles quoted the original source. Most didn't give a source at all, some linked to each other. It seemed like the number was just accepted as a truism. Very weird. Even worse and more suspicious was that the number was used inconsistently. Some said it's the total length of capillaries, some said it's just veins plus arteries, and others cited it as the length of everything put together.
That's wild. We have that much
Something
in us?
wasn't right. We couldn't let this go. Getting our facts straight is critical for what we do here, and since we've used this fact ourselves a few times, this now felt personal. We needed to find the original source and solve this research riddle. There
Yeah,
had to
who's
be
the author?
an original source. Random Googling just turned up thousands of sites that quoted the number, no lead to the original. So we moved on to PubMed, a search engine for biomedical science papers. 0 results. Okay.
What's going on here?
Weird. Maybe if we tried a few different keyword combinations. Nothing.
Oh.
Okay, finally, we found a bunch of scientific papers, but still, not a single one referenced the original source. The number also showed up in 2 different biology textbooks. We contacted the authors, but they told us that the number has been circulating for decades and that they'd also be curious to know where it comes from. Maybe we needed to go back to the olden days. So we narrowed our search to the last few decades, starting with the 1990s. And would you look at that, we found 2 books, Vital Circuits by Stephen Vogel and Looking at the Body by David Suzuki.
Here's a question for you guys. What's been around longer, kilometers or miles? Like, what's been around longer? What did they use for a form of measurement before these? Like feet, millimeters, whatever it's called. Like, was one of them before the other? What's going on here? Huh? Why aren't we asking these questions? Also, if this is old, I call cap on this end. If this is old, this is all fake. Because you know what? They didn't know anything. They thought the Earth was flat. And I'm not saying it isn't, honestly. It probably is. But they're out here saying, oh, your body inside, if you span it out, it goes that long. I doubt it. I don't believe that.
And it turned out Dr. Suzuki is an OG science communicator with a
The guy who
PhD
made the
in zoology,
motorcycle?
who started doing popular
Suzuki?
programming in the 1970s on Canadian television. He has 29 honorary degrees and has written 52 books. Impressive.
Damn.
He may either be the original source or at least know what it is. So we ordered Looking at the Body to look for it, and here it is. If all the body's blood vessels were laid end to end, they would stretch 96,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world.
I don't believe
But
it.
again, no source. It turned
Let's
out he's
test
still
it.
around doing things in his late 80s, so we thought maybe if we asked Dr. Suzuki personally, he might know where the number's from. He had no public email, but a personal inquiry is possible by writing a letter to Dr. Suzuki. Very old school, very respectable. So, we wrote a letter. Dear Dr. Suzuki, we're writing to you on a matter of grave importance. What is the original source for the 100,000 kilometers? Our internet video and our sanity depend on it. Pretty please. Respectfully yours, Kurzgesagt Fact Checkers. 3 weeks later, we actually got a reply. Dear
Damn, really?
weird internet people. Unfortunately, Dr. Suzuki does not recall the source of this data. And since the book was written over 30 years ago, he doesn't have files that old available to look it up. Good luck with your project. You're going to need it. Kind regards, Public Information Coordinator. Okay, they didn't quite use these words and were actually really nice, but still, bummer. Maybe the 1992 popular science book by Stephen Vogel, a Duke University biomechanics professor, would be more helpful. It has this sentence. Combined length of pipes 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles, more than twice around the Earth at the equator. So the book talks about this on one of its 300 pages. But where is the source? Unfortunately, there's only a list of 93 references and sources with no indication where in the book they're pointing to. Our original source may be in one of the papers, books, and articles in this list. Ouch! Reading all of those would take weeks. Was this really worth it? Or had we got lost in the forest of human knowledge looking for answers to questions nobody's asking and nobody cares about? But we'd wasted so much time already, so we decided to just do that one by one. And now, for a change, we just got stupidly lucky. For no particular reason, we decided to check the sources from last to first, and it turned out the very source we checked first was what we were looking for. A Scientific American article from 1959, the microcirculation of
50
the
cents? That would have been like $2.99 nowadays. 50 cents?
blood. So we got a scan of this 65-year-old science magazine, and there it was. But this was still not the original source. But it did reference where it got the number from. The Anatomy and Physiology of Capillaries, a 1922 book
Caterpillars?
by August Kroll, winner of a Nobel Prize for Medicine.
What does caterpillars have to do with the human body and the blood vessels? Like what?
He probably knew what he was talking about. So we ordered his book and, bingo, we got the original source.
The
The
original
book is a
source.
collection of Kroll's lectures and was highly praised by experts at the time. It summarizes his research and adds new experiments, ideas, and hypotheses. So, here it was. the original source, used thousands of times for over a century. Supposing a man's muscles to weigh 50 kilograms and his capillaries to number 2,000 per square millimeter, the total length of all these tubes put together must be something like 100,000 kilometers, or 2.5 times round the globe, and their total surface 6,300 square meters. While other scientists had speculated on the length of all the capillaries before, Kroll was the first to make a real estimate based on real experiments. Something very solid. Okay, and now that we were here, was it correct? Kroll's book includes this rather cryptic table without calculations or explanations. It seems to have been obvious to him, but not to us looking at it a century later. We needed to actually read the book. In a very breakthrough sciencey kind of way, Kroll just winged it. In a nutshell, he cut muscle samples from different animals, started counting and made some rule of thumb assumptions. Today, we know that his assumptions about the density of capillaries in humans was quite off. On top of that, he used a kind of idealized bodybuilder human weighing 143 kilograms with 50 kilograms of pure muscle mass. And this finally gave him the very pleasing number of 100,000 kilometers. It would be unfair to blame Kroll. This was just a small ancillary fact he probably calculated for fun and out of curiosity, not elemental to his body of work. But he was a world expert, so his incorrect number was used in scientific papers, spread, and became dogma, eventually entirely detached from the original source.
Damn, so it's just like the biggest game of payphone with no payout because it was fake to begin with. Like, bro just threw a number in there randomly and we all said, yeah, sounds about right. Let's just go with that. Like, what?
At this point in our research,
Crazy.
over a year had passed. So, just to be sure, we did another Google search and, while we were caught up in our personal mission to find the source, up to the neck in old books, writing letters to Canada, scientists quietly published a paper not really getting a lot of attention from anybody. They calculated a new number, a way more accurate estimate. If we had just waited another year, we could have saved doing all that work. So, now, here it is. According to the newest science, the length of all the capillaries in a human is somewhere between 9,000 and 19,000 kilometers.
That is
very
way
impressive,
less.
but not enough to go around the world.
Way less.
A sort of conclusion. If you look up the question today, you'll likely still not find the real answer, but thousands of sources, among them one Kurzgesagt video using the wrong number, and it will probably stay like that for a while. In all this time, why did nobody bother to double-check this? Well, because the reality is it's extremely hard and time-consuming. As we mentioned before, it took us a year and a great deal of luck to get to the bottom of this on our own. Investing this time and effort while you're writing a paper is just not feasible for most scientists or science communicators. If a number seems safe and is used by credible sources, most people, including us, end up quoting a secondary source or worse. Also, it's just such a nice round number that will stick with you once you've heard it. Facts that seem beautiful tend to survive much longer. But that's exactly the problem, isn't it? The most interesting stories survive on the internet, and often with each retelling, they get more exciting and memorable. It takes a lot of energy to get to the bottom of things, and a factoid is easily repeated, so misinformation can persist. When we started this research, we didn't think we'd end up here. You, dear viewer, got a little peek into the kinds of mazes we have to navigate just to tell you our short sciencey stories. They are as true as we can possibly make them. We'll run into the same traps as everybody else from time to time. But we're doing our best to correct misinformation, give more context, and to bring you the latest science on any topic we cover. See you next time.
It's interesting to think about. Is it just the ad? Yeah, it's just the ad. It's interesting to think about, right? Everything in the past is like I don't even know how to explain it. Everything in the past, right, is all like, nowadays you're starting to learn it's not all how it was. I mean, history books are only written by the winners, right? So they're going to write it how they want it to be written, right? So it's like you sit there and you look at it, they didn't know what they were doing. Half the time we don't know what we're doing. So let's say humanity gets extinct and there's another humanity after us, right? And the only thing left of us, right, in 100,000 years is one copy of the Avengers movie. They're going to think that was real. They're going to be like, holy guacatole, this is real, and this is what was going on back then. Look at this. There was a green guy. There was Thor. There was aliens coming from the sky. There was Ultron or Loki, whichever movie they want to watch. Maybe Endgame. Maybe that's why they think all the extinction happened. And, like, they're going to sit there and they're going to believe that. And then they're going to have to go through and they're going to have to learn it didn't. But, like, how are they going to learn it if everything else isn't here? Like, it's insane what could happen now or what happened then that caused stuff to happen now. I mean, things could be so much more different than what we actually expected them to be. I mean, there. You look at the pyramids. I mean, aliens, you tell me, probably. It's just interesting how, like, crazy everything can get within the span of a couple hundred years. Like, you just say one thing and it's a big game of telephone just down the line. It is genuinely really crazy to think about. And this is all stuff that people are, like, learning. And he said it's a nice number. 100,000? Yeah, it's a nice number. It's 19,900 is nowhere close to 100,000. It was 19,000 to 19,900. That is nowhere close to 100,000. I mean, you could have said 20. You could have said 20. You could have said 19. I mean, 20, yeah, 20 sounds nice. 100,000? No way, Jose. That, like, I was like, I don't believe that. Like, just from hearing it off the bat. That was a different style video, though. They used some real kind of stuff. Like, this is a real background with, like, animations in it, which is pretty cool. I wasn't actually expecting that. But anyways, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And yeah, there's a lot of lies on the internet. There's a lot of fake stuff. So obviously you want to be cautious of that. But you don't gotta worry, because we are here. That's right. I am here. So you do me a favor and you hit that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and when you think about history, how far do you think back? Do you think back to the Roman Empire? Do you think back to the Solomon Empire? Do you think back to the pyramids? Do you think back to the Aztecs and the Mayans? Or do you think back to the beginning of humanity, maybe even before humanity? Today we are going to be watching what happened before history, human origins. It's time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
The world we live in feels normal, ordinary. It feels like this is just how humans exist and always existed. But it's not. Never before have we humans lived in a world as sophisticated and engineered to our needs as today, giving us the luxury to forget about ourselves and not worry about survival. Food, shelter, security, all of this is more or less taken for granted. But we're a special few. For more than 99.99% of human history, life was completely different. And there's no such thing as just one human history.
That does make sense. I mean, we are very, if you think about all of humanity, we are like on the
Our
tip.
story begins 6 million years ago, when the tribe of Hominini split and our relationship with the apes ended. 2.8 million years ago, the genus of Homo, the first humans, emerged. We
I'm
like to
out.
think of ourselves as the only humans, but this is far from the truth. When we, Homo sapiens sapiens, came into existence 200,000 years ago, there were at least 6 other human species around. Cousins of comparable intelligence and ability, which must have been incredibly scary, kind of like living with aliens. Some of them were very successful. Homo erectus, for example, survived for 2 million years, 10 times longer than modern humans have existed. The last of the other humans disappeared around 10,000 years ago. We don't know what caused them to die out. Modern humans have at least a few % of Neanderthal and other human DNA, so there was some mixing, but certainly not enough to be a merger between species. So
Damn, so what he's trying to say is we made it out the mud, huh? We really coming out here and we really being the ones that to survive. all these other Homo erectus and all this kind of stuff. Absolutely not, dude. We're better is what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying. I mean, W us.
We don't know if our cousins went away because they lost the battle over resources or because of a series of minor genocides. Either way, only we remain.
Valid, honestly.
Back to the beginnings of humanity. 2.8 million years ago, early humans used tools but did not make a lot of progress for nearly 2 million years. Until they learned to control fire. Fire meant cooking, which made food more nutritious, which contributed to the development of our brain. It also produced light and warmth, which made days longer and winters less gruesome. On top of that, it not only scared predators away, it could also be used for hunting. A torched wood or grassland provided small animals, nuts and tubers that were pre-roasted. From 300,000 years ago, most of the different human species lived in small hunter-gatherer societies. They had fire, wood and stone tools, planned for the future, buried their dead, and had cultures of their own. But most importantly, they spoke to each other, probably in a kind of proto-language less complex than ours. If we had a time machine, how far would we be able to go back, steal a few babies, and raise them today without anyone noticing that they're a bit different?
Would we be able to do that if we brought back, let's say, a baby from the earliest point in history? Would we be able to teach them everything to nothing, like from nothing to everything like that? Would they actually be able to comprehend it, right? Because if you think about it, a baby nowadays, right? Is a baby nowadays smarter than a baby back then? Oh, I never even thought about that before. Oh my God. Because you have to teach a baby everything, right? You have to teach a baby how to walk, talk. You have to teach them how to speak, all this kind of stuff. Could something 6 million years ago be integrated into society today?
There is much
Wow.
debate. Anatomically modern humans emerged 200,000 years ago, but probably 70,000 years is as far as we could travel back and still snatch a behaviorally modern human. Before that, the babies would probably lack a few crucial gene mutations necessary to build a brain with modern language and abstract thinking abilities.
Oh.
At some point around 50,000 years ago, there was an explosion in innovation. Tools and weapons became more sophisticated, and culture became more complex, because at this point, humans had a multi-purpose brain and a more advanced language to communicate information with each other effectively and down to the last detail. This allowed much closer cooperation and is what really makes us different from any other creature on Earth. Not our comparatively weak bodies and inferior senses, but the ability to cooperate flexibly in large groups, unlike, for example, rigid beehives or intimate but tiny wolf packs. As our brain evolved, we became able to do something life had been unable to do up to this point. 1. Expand knowledge quickly. 2. Preserve the knowledge gained over generations. 3. Build on past knowledge to gain even deeper insights. This seems daft, but until then, information had to be passed on from generation to generation, mostly through genetics, which is not efficient. Still, for the next 40,000 years, human life remained more or less the same. There was little to build upon. Our ancestors were only one animal among many. Building a skyscraper without knowing what a house is hard. But while it's easy to be arrogant in our attitude to our ancestors, this would be ignorant. Humans 50,000 years ago were survival specialists. They had a detailed mental map of their territory, their senses were fine-tuned to the environment, they knew and memorized a great amount of information about plants and animals. They could make complicated tools that required years of careful training and very fine motor skills.
Imagine bringing somebody, like, let's say at that time in their 20s, right? Because I don't know how long they live for. Let's say in their 20s. Imagine bringing somebody that age to nowadays and making them see everything. Oh my God, would their mind be blown? Their mind would have to be so blown. I mean, there are tribes out there now who have no human contact, right? And there are some that are being integrated with cell phones and TikToks and stuff. I've seen some videos of those. But there are some that have no outside contact whatsoever that we might not even know of. And they're living like this. They're living off the land. They're they're doing everything by hand. They're making all their clothes, they're making all their tools, they're gathering their food themselves, right? So imagine bringing somebody even just like that to the world itself. It is insane to think about, for them at least, how mind-blowing it would be to see how far technology has like reached in general.
Their bodies compare to our athletes today just because of their daily routines, and they lived a rich social life within their tribe. Survival required so many skills that the average brain volume of early modern humans might even have been bigger than it is today. As a group,
Really?
we know more today, but as individuals, our ancestors were superior to us. But then, around 12,000 years ago in multiple locations, humans developed agriculture. Everything changed very quickly. Before, survival as a hunter and forager required superb physical and mental abilities in all fields from everybody. With the rise of the agricultural age, individuals could increasingly rely on the skills of others for survival. This meant that some of them could specialize. Maybe they worked on better tools. Maybe they took time to breed more resistant crops or better livestock. Maybe they started inventing things. As farming got more and more efficient, what we call civilization began. Agriculture gave us a reliable and predictable food source, which allowed humans to hoard food on a large scale for the first time, which is much easier to do with grains than meat. The food stock required protection, which led to communities living together in tighter spaces. First, early defense structures were built. The need for organization grew. The more organized we got, the faster things became efficient. Villages became cities, cities became kingdoms, kingdoms became empires. Connections between humans exploded, which led to opportunities to exchange knowledge. Progress became exponential. About 500 years ago, the scientific revolution began. Mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, and chemistry transformed everything we thought we knew.
Imagine being the first person to come up with math. How do you even do that? How do you even just come up with math? How do you come up with science? Like, nowadays, right, we're coming up with quantum and all that kind of stuff. But how do you go from, like, being a caveman to pretty much, like, you know, you start living, you're going through it. And then, like, it just turns out, oh, by the way, here's math, here's science, here's all this stuff. Like, how does all this stuff just come up with? How do people just come up with that stuff back in the day? Were they just so above and beyond even us now? Because you don't see that much stuff being created now, right? You see AI, you see quantum mechanics, quantum physics, right? But they're still, like, very new. And AI is one of those things where it can kind of be predicted it's going to happen. Quantum mechanics is one of those things where they're still kind of like looking at it 50-50. So imagine being somebody to come up with math that we still use till today, or science that we still use till today. It is insane to think about.
The Industrial Revolution followed soon after, laying the foundation for the modern world. As our overall efficiency grew exponentially, more people could spend their lifetime contributing to the progress of humanity. Revolutions kept happening. The invention of the computer, its evolution into a medium we all use on a daily basis, and the rise of the internet shaped our world. It's hard to grasp how fast all of that happened. It's been about 125,000 generations since the emergence of the first human species.
That's crazy.
About 7,500 generations since the physiologically modern human saw the light of day. 500 generations ago, what we call civilization began. 20 generations ago, we learned how to do science. And the internet became available to most people only 1 generation ago. Today, we live in the most prosperous age humanity has ever experienced. We have transformed this planet, from the composition of its atmosphere to large-scale changes in its landscape, and also in terms of the other animals in existence. We light up the night with artificial stars and put people in a metal box in the sky. Some have even walked on our moon. We put robots on other planets. We've looked deep into the past of the universe with mechanical eyes. Our knowledge and our way of acquiring and storing more of it has exploded. The average high school student today knows more about the universe than a scholar a few centuries ago. Humans dominate this planet, even if our rule is very fragile. We are still not that different from our ancestors 70,000 years ago, but your lifestyle has existed for less than 0.001% of human history. From here on, there's no saying what the future holds for us. We're building a skyscraper, but we're not sure if it's standing on a solid foundation or if we're building it on quicksand. Let's leave it with that for now. The next time you miss your train, your burger is not hot enough, or someone cuts in line, remember how special this made-up human world is. Maybe it's not worth being upset about all those little things. Okay, this was our first take on making a history-related video.
It is really interesting to think about, like, the fact that back then, stuff like this wasn't even comprehensible. And even like 100 years ago, this wasn't even really comprehensible. Nobody would think that we would have computers, right? At least being able, like, potentially have computers, yeah, but more or less being able to have them in your house and have them as like just like an everyday object or like a TV, right? It's so crazy to think that just in the past, let's say 50 to 75 years, technology has blew up so much more than anybody could expect it. And like, there's so much time in the past, so much time that we're not even aware of all of it, right? There's no way that we can probably even fathom stuff that has happened, right? There's stuff that we don't understand, like the pyramids and all that kind of stuff, right? So we don't understand that. Imagine if they came nowadays, they would not understand a single lick of anything that's going on. But not only that, right? Not only that, it's still the factor of like, this is still so early to us. It's so new to us. Think about VR, think about computing, think about AI, think about space, right? We're doing all this stuff and it's excelling at such a rapid pace that in another 100 years, we're not only doubling it now, we're going above and beyond. So in another 100 years, we're not going to be like double as we are now. We're probably going to be so far ahead that it either might destroy us or we might make so many crazy breakthroughs. And it's crazy to think about that. I can't even fathom in 1,000 years, if humans are still around, what will happen, right? Because most likely they'll still be around in 1,000 years, right? So in 1,000 years, if technology is still increasing, we would have to be on other planets by then, right? Wouldn't we? Because there's still going to be so much smarter people that are coming, right? There are such smart people now. We'd have to have a rapid decline in everything. And then we'd either revert back to normal or not revert back to normal, but more as revert back to primitive, or we're going to be so advanced that we can't even fathom what's going on. And that's what's crazy to think about. Anyways, though, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, we're learning about the world. We're learning about the universe. We're learning about us. So be a part of that journey by hitting that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy, Whiteout, and when you think about the universe, do you think it's infinite? Now, that is a crazy question to be asking, right? Because some people might say, yeah, the universe is infinite. Well, it's forever expanding, right? That's what a lot of people will say also. It's forever expanding. So if it's forever expanding, what is after it? Is it just nothingness right now? Or is it already expanded so far? Is there ever a stop to it, right? Is there ever a point where it's supposed to come back in? Because that's a theory also. Well, today we're going to be watching the paradox of an infinite universe. It's time to lock in, and it's time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Is the universe infinite? Does it have an edge? And if so, what would you see if you went there? Today, we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago and that it's been expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years. When we look outwards, what we see is a sphere centered on us, the observable universe. But it gets a tad more complicated. Because the universe has been expanding, we know that the most faraway things whose light we can see are actually 45 billion light years from us right now.
Wow, 45
So the
billion?
observable universe is a sphere with a radius of 45 billion light years. It contains around 200 billion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. So for us, there is an edge. We're looking at the past until there is just no past left. This edge is really more like an edge in time and, in a sense, meaningless. The real universe is for sure bigger than what we can see. But how much? There are two options. Either the universe is really big but finite, or it's truly infinite. A finite universe means that if you want to fill it with ice cream, you can do it. You need a lot of ice cream, but it is a finite amount. But that leads to a weird problem. Such a universe should have an edge, a cosmic wall where space ends. And if there's an edge, there should be something outside that edge. But the universe by definition is all there is. So how could there be stuff outside all there is?
That is
Does
true.
the idea of something outside of everything even make sense? Except, of course, there is a physics hack. You can have a universe that has no border, but that still could be filled with a finite amount of ice cream. What if the universe is truly finite? Imagine an orange and a really tiny ant. The ant can only see a small piece of the skin, just as you can only see a small chunk of the universe. But if the ant starts walking, it will eventually walk around the whole orange and be back to its starting point. So the skin of an orange is not infinite, but it doesn't have a border. The universe is not like the skin of an orange, but it could be very similar. Instead of a sphere, it could be a hypersphere, where 3D space is curled on itself, which is impossible for your brain to visualize, unfortunately. But the point
Damn.
is, no borders, no outside of the hypersphere. From our human ant perspective, our whole 3D space is like the peel of the orange. If you were aboard a spaceship flying in a straight line, you would eventually come back to Earth. How does any of this make sense? The actual physics is
That's like a video game, right? If you keep walking, I guess not really like a video game. It's like if you keep walking and like, let's say you get to an area where it's like all white, right? And then you walk through the all white part and then it goes all black. And then you walk through the all black part and then you start seeing like the world again, right? And then it's kind of like it kind of like renders you back at the beginning type deal. That I guess is like understandable, but I feel like that's like a simulation at that point. If you can just keep going and then at some point, like, are you actually at your universe or your world, or are you at like a different multiverse type world? Because if you keep going one way and you end up back in your own place, I don't even know how that's feasibly possible without hitting a border.
hard, so we have to simplify and lie a bit here. But in a nutshell, it all boils down to gravity. The way it works is that mass creates gravity by bending space-time. This bending is the strongest where the mass is, but sort of stretches on forever, like a very mild tension in the fabric of space-time itself. This could bend the whole universe in a way where it bends back on itself, which then makes the hypersphere.
What?
If you find this confusing, we're with you.
Yeah.
If the universe
Thanks.
happens to be a hypersphere, how could we find out how big it is? On Earth, we can see things disappear below the horizon, and that helps us calculate how big the Earth is. Scientists tried to find some sort of universe horizon that would reveal the scale of the cosmic sphere, but didn't see anything. Which means that if the universe is a hypersphere, it needs to be so big that from our perspective, it looks like we're living on a flat surface. For this to make sense, a hyperspherical universe should be at least 1,000 times bigger than our observable part. It could be 1 trillion times bigger for all we know, but not smaller than that. Some scientists thought all of this is way too straightforward and came up with a wilder option. The universe could be like the frosting of a donut. A hyperdonut, also impossible to visualize for your brain. This too means that if you travel in a straight line, you'd get back to where you started, but with fun complications. In a
Guess that makes
hyperdonut
sense.
universe, there's not the same amount of stuff in every direction. If two spaceships fly in different directions, one could get back to the start way earlier. This also means that light
But it still bears the question, what is on the outside of that? Because if the universe, let's say, is a hyper donut, right? That means there still has to be something on the other outside, right? Because even if, like, what is nothingness, right? People will be like, close your eyes, you'll see nothing, right? But do you actually see nothing, or do you see darkness, right? Is it truly nothing? How do you actually explain what nothing is? It's like people who are blind, right? They see nothing. So you close your eyes and you see, like, you expect that's what a blind person sees. That's not what a blind person sees. A blind person sees nothing, and you can't even comprehend that because you're not used to seeing nothing. It's insane to think about. So if there's nothing on the other side, does that mean it's all black? Does that mean it's all white? Does that mean it's like what it is nothing? Because black and white isn't even nothing. So how do you explain nothing, right?
From faraway galaxies would do fun and confusing stuff in a sort of cosmic Hall of Mirrors effect. We could see faraway things in two places, but not just that, we would see it in different moments in time, because its light would have taken much longer to travel in one direction than the other. You could see a star being born in front of you and see that same star die on the opposite side of the sky. How
True.
big would such a hyperdonut universe be? Well, because of its strange geometry, actually this is kind of the smallest possible universe, potentially just a few times bigger than the observable universe. But it could also be way, way bigger. We don't know. Okay, so much for finite universes. But what if it's truly infinite and space goes on forever? What would that be like? What if the universe is truly infinite?
If it is truly
Actually,
infinite, that'd
the
be crazy.
cosmological model used by most scientists describes an infinite universe. We mostly use it to calculate what happens inside our observable chunk, but if taken literally, it predicts an infinite universe. An infinite universe goes on, well, forever, with no border anywhere, also impossible to visualize. Wherever you look, you'll find more and more stuff in every possible direction. This kind of breaks our brain a bit for a few reasons. First of all, if the universe is infinite, is it also eternal and has been there forever? Was there a time when there was nothing everywhere and then there was something everywhere? Well, we don't know,
crazy.
but we have a lot of evidence for the Big Bang, so it really seems like the universe started at some point in the past. But wait, since the Big Bang, the universe has been expanding. How can an infinite thing that's everywhere become even bigger? Cosmic expansion just means that the distance between galaxies is growing with time. Even an infinite space can become bigger. Welcome to the paradoxes of infinity.
One thing that I like to think about sometimes, well, I don't like to think about it, but one thing that's interesting that I've heard is, like, if they say that the universe is at some point going to implode on itself, right? So everything that's going out is going to at some point come back in, right? So everything's kind of going to be reversed. So it's going to hit some sort of border, right? And this is a speculation, but it's going to hit some sort of border and it's going to come back. And I always wonder, is everything going to be reversed, or are we going to be living the same life in reversed? That would be a really interesting thing. So instead of kind of increasing and going from technology, are we going to actually lose technology? Are we going to actually experience that? Because if everything's going back in on itself, is it still going to be everything's going forward, or is time going to start going backwards? And then would another Big Bang happen, and it's just a recycle of everything, and everything's happening again and again, and everybody's lives are actually the same, living it over and over and over? Maybe there's a few changes, maybe there's substantial changes. That is a crazy thought process too.
Infinity gets much weirder though. As you travel with your spaceship in a straight line, you find new galaxies, stars and planets, new wonders, new weird
Explains
stuff,
deja vu
probably
also.
new aliens and new life forms stranger than you could ever imagine. But after a long time, you might find
The
the
Rick
most
and
special
Morty.
thing in the universe, yourself. An exact copy of you watching this video right now. How
True.
can that be? Well, everything in existence is made of a finite amount of different particles. And a finite number of different particles can only be combined in a finite number of ways. That number may be so large that it feels like infinity to our brains, but it's not really. If you have finite options to build things, but infinite space that is full of things in all directions forever, then it makes sense that by pure chance, there will likely be repetition.
Exactly,
Although,
yep.
just because something is possible, doesn't mean it will actually happen.
That does make a lot of sense. An infinite amount of yous, an infinite amount of me's. It's like, if there's an infinite universe, that means there's infinite chances, which means that there's like quadrillion infinite, probably multiverses in a sense, right? But it's all going on at the same time.
Maybe the universe goes on forever, but only the boring stuff repeats itself endlessly. Maybe there is really only one you. But if the laws of physics are the same everywhere, then far, far away, gas could have given birth to stars and planets where primitive genetic information could emerge from chemistry,
I think it'd be
which might
impossible
have ended up in cells and animals
if there
that
was only
evolved
one
in
of you
really
in
unlikely
that
ways,
circumstance.
and eventually apes that learn how to create online videos. It happened at least once, so the chance is not zero. Even if the chance of there being an exact copy of you watching this video right now is almost zero is still a huge number in an infinite universe. Unfortunately, you'll never meet, because almost zero still means the chance is incredibly small. Earth, as it exists right now, is so unlikely you'd have to travel incredibly far to find a second identical Earth. Some 10 to the 10 to the 29, a 1 followed by 100 octillion zeros, times the size of the observable universe. So far that it kind of means forever far away. Still, in a truly infinite universe, every combination of particles could reasonably not just occur only once, but an infinite number of times. It's time to stop now. While these scenarios are possible on paper, we've entered science philosophy here. Currently, none of these ideas are testable or provable.
Yeah.
If the universe is infinite, we will never know. The reality is, for us, the universe is finite and has an edge. And we can see the edge in time. Everything we can interact with is within the observable universe, and most likely, this will stay true forever. Even if this finite universe feels small to you, it's more than big enough to fulfill all the dreams that we and our descendants can ever come up with. Infinitely enough for all of us.
I
While
think
we
there's
can't be
I think that there's potentially a time where we might be able to actually learn whether or not that's real. I think that that could be a thing, but it'd have to take everybody working together, everybody being as, I guess you could say, bright and as smart as you possibly could be, and advancing so quick over the next. I mean, we've already advanced so much over, like, let's say the past, let's say 60 years. We've advanced so much, right? So if we've advanced so much over these past years, then who's to say in 300 years that isn't going to be possible? Right now, we can't imagine that. But with everything new that's coming out and everything new that's doing, they were saying by, 100 years, we might colonize Mars. 100 years sounds like a lot, right? It's a person's lifetime if they're lucky enough. But at the same time, it's like you sit there and you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, okay, let's look at 100 years in the span of the universe. That is no time. We're talking however many billion years, and there's probably still billion years to come. So if we're still around in a billion years, oh my God, can you imagine what kind of technological advances we'd have if we're still around, if we haven't imploded on ourselves or, just destroyed ourselves in any way? It is insane to think about the possibilities. But I guess we're not going to have to worry about that, because probably no time in our lifetime are we going to be seeing that. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but come on, we're over here talking about the universe. So why don't you be a part of the universe by hitting that subscribe button? Because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy, Whiteout, and today we are going to be talking about the apocalypse. That's right. Imagine the world turning to gold. That's right. I know what you guys think when apocalypse comes. Could it be zombies? Could it be asteroids? Could it be the end of the world? Could it be humanity fighting itself? But imagine if the world turned to gold. Imagine that. I don't know even how to consider the thought process of that, but we are going to be watching today. What if the world turned to gold, the gold apocalypse? It's time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Here in the Kurzgesagt Labs, we only work on the most important scientific problems like, what if we nuke stuff? Or how about we make this elephant explode? Or who could forget? Look at this thing. It's really big. Continuing this proud
True.
tradition, let's explore the scientific mystery of what would happen to you if Earth suddenly turned into gold. The Midas Apocalypse, based on the ancient tale of King Midas, who was cursed so everything he touched turned into gold. Before we can explore this scenario with
that a
science,
curse?
we'll first define the premise. Midas's curse is a very special phenomenon called magic, which allows us to modify physics. So what happens when Midas touches something and it turns to gold?
But wouldn't him touching the ground turn the ground to gold, and then it would turn everything to gold?
An atom of gold has 79 protons and 118 neutrons in its nucleus. The electric force of the protons on the electrons around them shapes the atom and gives gold its chemical properties, like that it doesn't rust and that it's kind of shiny and bendy. So, to make not gold into gold, we have to change atoms. Let's say Midas touches a duck. All the light elements like hydrogen, carbon and oxygen gain electrons and protons and neutrons to become gold. Not only is the duck suddenly 33 times more massive, it's also much too dense. The gold atoms are far closer together than they like and repel each other violently, causing the golden duck to explode with the energy of half a ton of TNT, leaving only gold dust and a very dead Midas. This is clearly not a very good way for Midas's power to work. So
Probably not,
what if
no.
instead Midas's power uses the atoms that are already present and simply rearranges all particles in the matter he touches into gold? No matter is created or destroyed. Instead, atoms dissolve and the protons, neutrons and electrons are reassembled to make gold. However, gold is very dense, about 20 times denser than a duck. Without adding any matter, the gold duck would be a very awkward kind of foamy gold with lots of tiny microscopic gaps. This is funky and doesn't explode, which is progress. Now that we've established a sort of magic that works, what would happen if Midas stumbles? What if he touches Earth itself? Let's freeze time for
There it
just a
all
moment
goes.
and rearrange all the matter in the Earth. Just like the duck, the Earth is now solid gold, but with many tiny atomic scale gaps. While these gaps weren't a huge deal for the duck, they're a big problem for the Earth. A spongy planet is not a thing that can exist, as gravity compresses Earth, squeezing it together to close up the gaps.
Yeah, but wouldn't it also, like, be extremely heavy? Like, more heavy than Earth itself, potentially? Or would it be lighter? And then wouldn't we start either floating or falling?
As a result, the Earth contracts, shrinking to 2/3 of its radius. If you're standing on Earth's surface, you'll suddenly find yourself in freefall, like on a roller coaster, as the ground sinks
Oh my
away
God.
beneath you.
That would
But
be
since the
insane.
ground is falling too, it doesn't move away from you. It feels like someone turned off gravity, and you and everything else would begin to float. But the ride doesn't last forever. It takes only 10 minutes for everything to crash down, and a weird 10 minutes it is indeed. And then, as abruptly as it started, it stops. The collapsing Earth has reached its desired size, and gravity is suddenly turned back on for you. Hopefully you enjoyed your minutes of floating, because the ground and you with it crash into the planet at 30,000 kilometers an hour, making your body
God.
splatter like a water balloon as it hits.
That
In
would
one
be
instant,
insane.
basically all of humanity gets smashed into red puddles. This is only the start of our problems though, since Earth imploded supersonically. The kinetic energy of the implosion is basically equivalent to detonating a planet made of TNT. Crushed together under incredible forces, Earth's core reaches 1,000,000 degrees Celsius, a temperature closer to the core of a star than anything we're used to finding on Earth. As the Earth crashes into itself, it generates an enormously powerful shock wave which plows upwards, catapulting the atmosphere up and off.
My question is, what makes gold so valuable? Like, I understand, is it just a, like, looking thing when you look at it and you're like, oh, I kind of like the look of that, you know? Is it just a looking thing, or is it the fact that it's like, is it probably quality over quantity? Because gold isn't, like, a great material in general, right? When you think about gold, you know, people don't make, think about it in, like, a Minecraft sense. It's the worst sword in Minecraft. Like, people, it is a very, like, it's not as good of a material as iron. You don't see places being really made out of gold. I mean, some things are made out of gold, but it's more of like when you think of gold, I don't know, I think of jewelry, I think of like wedding rings, I think of stuff like that, where it's like on a different side of things. Some people have like gold toilets and stuff, sure, but is it actually like that valuable, or did we just say it was valuable? Same with diamonds. Is it just scarcity, and since it's so scarce, people want it more? I'm not sure. I don't understand the whole gold thing. Let me know if you guys know, because that part confuses me.
The Earth's surface temperature reaches hundreds of thousands of degrees, and everything on it is instantly vaporized to a fluffy plasma cloud that starts to expand, but not by much. Many of the atoms that may have been new get mixed into this cloud, while others boil off, escaping from the atmosphere. The golden plasma outshines the sun, while the enormous radiation lifts tons of material off into space. Over the coming days, the plasma cloud cools and eventually freezes into a shiny little golden ball. Okay, maybe this type of magic doesn't work. So if replacing atoms made the Earth so overdense that it exploded, and disassembling and reassembling atoms made the Earth so underdense that it imploded, there must be a sweet spot where the Earth does neither. What if Midas's power is such that an object is suddenly replaced by an object with the same volume, made from solid gold? That magic is a little bit more magic and cuts a few extra corners, but let's see where this
How would
leads
that
us.
work?
So, Midas stumbles again. Even though our new pure gold Earth is not expanding or contracting, it's suddenly much more massive. The density of gold is 3.5 times greater than the Earth, meaning the Earth is going to get 3.5 times more massive. For starters, everyone now has to contend with surface gravity that is more than 3 times stronger. So if you're not a champion weightlifter who's used to carrying around a few times your body weight on your shoulders, you're probably going to be slammed to the ground by your own weight. Depending on where you were when Earth turned into gold, this alone could seriously hurt or even kill you.
Oh my god, a plane
Trees
flying.
and artificial
Oh, no.
structures collapse under stress they were never meant to sustain, while birds and planes and all things that were able to fly or float splash to the ground all around you. And you're not the only thing weighed down by the greater gravity. The weight of the atmosphere and also atmospheric pressure nearly quadruples, which is a bad thing if you like living. On its own, this won't kill you. Scuba divers can comfortably breathe air at these pressures for a while, but unfortunately squeezing the atmosphere this much raises its temperature to 150 degrees Celsius, which is like the insides of an oven.
Oh, wow.
The entire Earth's surface bakes, roasting anything and everything. There is no escape. Gold may be a metal, but it's about 3 times weaker than steel and also very malleable, which makes
Exactly, and it's more expensive. So why is it so much more sought after? Because it's so much more expensive than steel. I mean, so if it's so much more expensive than steel, but it's not as strong as steel, and steel is way more durable. Why is gold so sought after? Is it just because of scarcity? That's the only thing I can think. Like,
very
I'm
bad
confused.
mountain material. The tallest mountains that can be supported are now only about 2 kilometers high, so whole ranges compress as their own weight basically crushes their base. It's hard to say what happens here. We're probably in for giant earthquakes and landslides as the planet is squeezed into a new shape. And it's not just mountain ranges, the differences between the continents and the ocean floor level out, causing the ocean basins to overflow, sending massive tidal waves over the Earth's surface. What remains is a planet made of gold, entirely covered by an ocean 3 kilometers deep, a super hot atmosphere, and a lot of dead people. Okay, there may be a lesson to take away here, but we're not sure what it is. We did all the maths though. It's in our sources document if you want to take a look. If you learned anything in this video, let us know what it was.
I think we did learn something. I think we learned that we would be screwed if the world turned to gold. I still don't understand why gold is so like valuable to people. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not too much of a materialistic person, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I want to know. I'm sure somebody knows the answer, so somebody should let me know if you guys do know the answer, because I'm sure it is obvious. I'm just maybe overthinking it. But that is an interesting concept. If the Earth turned to gold, like, genuinely think about that for a second. There probably is a planet out there now that is strictly gold. There's probably a planet out there that's strictly diamond, because over time and all the pressure from the earth, and or not earth, but from the universe and stuff, just like let's say there's a planet of coal. That planet would probably turn to diamonds, or it'd have diamonds at least inside of it over so much time, because all diamonds are is just coal. It's just condensed over the years, being pressurized and being like pretty much hydraulic pressed over thousands upon millions potentially of years to make diamonds, right? And diamonds are even more sought after than gold. Diamonds are way more important than gold. You put a diamond in a gold ring, and the diamond is what costs the most. So it is interesting to think about how these materials are so expensive, yet so scarce in the same way. But that is a really interesting concept. I totally didn't even think about the whole Midas thing, because I remember hearing Midas touching everything Midas touched turns to gold and stuff like that. But to think about the whole world turning to gold is a whole nother thing. With that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, imagine if the world turned to gold. Now you know. Now you know. So you can repay that favor by hitting that subscribe button. Because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout and Gamma Rays. Oh my god, you guys are gonna love Gamma Rays today, let me tell you. I have filmed this video after I filmed actually the later video, but it's gonna tie back into itself, so you have to watch both videos now to actually fully understand what I'm talking about here. But we are going to be watching Death from Space, Gamma Ray Bursts Explained. Just remember when you watch the next video that I watched this video after, but it came out before. It sounds weird, but it makes sense. Anyways, it is time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Imagine if you could gather the energy from every star within 100 million light years, from thousands of galaxies, each with billions of stars. Imagine you could take this kind of power and use it to fire the biggest superweapon in the universe. Imagine the damage you could do. It turns out, you don't need to imagine it. These exist, and they're called gamma ray bursts.
You're telling me, buddy.
But what are these cosmic snipers? And what happens if one takes a shot at Earth?
Gamma ray bursts are powerful. Like, imagine if we had that as a weapon.
To understand
oh my God.
gamma ray bursts, we first have to understand gamma rays. Gamma rays are electromagnetic radiation, waves which carry energy just like visible light. Visible light is a tiny part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's the part your eyes can see. At lower energies, there are radio waves, microwaves, and infrared. And at higher energies, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Gamma rays are incredibly powerful. A single gamma ray photon is more energetic than 1 million visible photons combined.
I was about to say, isn't this what the Hulk got hit with? Because I thought it was gamma ray. Oh my God, today's a gamma ray day. I can't even fathom that because because of the next video. Like, I am so astonished right now. But yeah, gamma rays are what made the Hulk, because technically that much gamma rays should have killed him, but instead he turned into big green Bruce Hulk Banner. Like, it's wild. The original Hulk movies, fire. The new Hulk, I don't think they made like a new actual Hulk movie, but like, I think they should at this point, because like the CGI is way better now.
Their high energy makes gamma rays a form of ionizing radiation, meaning they are energetic enough to break apart atomic bonds. This makes them dangerous to you and me. Ionizing radiation disrupts the delicate biochemical machinery that keeps us alive, like a 9mm bullet through a clock. Fortunately, on Earth, the ozone layer blocks gamma rays, filtering them out before they can harm us. But if the atmosphere blocks gamma rays from space, how were gamma ray bursts, or GRBs, from space ever discovered? During the Cold War, the USA sent up spy satellites which could detect gamma rays from Soviet nuclear tests in space. They didn't see any bombs, but they did observe faint bursts coming from space, lasting only a few seconds. To date, this may be the only major scientific discovery made by spy satellites, that we know about anyway.
Yeah. They would not tell us if they actually found some wild stuff by spy satellites. They would not tell us. They would be like, "Oh, we found gamma ray bursts." That's it. That's all they would tell us because it does absolutely nothing for us.
Astronomers use telescopes that see different kinds of light to make their discoveries, and these spy satellites gave them a new pair of eyes. They were a mystery for 30 years, but eventually we discovered the source of a GRB, a galaxy 6 billion light years away.
6
If a
billion?
GRB can be seen from
My
such a
God.
distance, then it must be incredibly energetic, releasing more energy in a second than the Sun will in its entire 10 billion year lifetime, making GRBs the brightest events in the universe. So, where do they come from? GRBs accompany some of the most violent cataclysmic deaths in the universe and the birth of black holes.
Oh wow.
There
the
are two
birth
types of
black
gamma ray
holes?
burst, short and long, and each has their own source. Long GRBs last about a minute, and scientists think they are produced by supernova, when the core of a massive star collapses to become a black hole. Short GRBs last a second and are produced when two neutron stars in a binary merge. Over millions of years, their orbits decay by emitting gravitational waves. Once they're close enough to touch, they crash and splash into each other, forming a black hole. Both
Wow.
supernova and neutron star mergers make the same thing. Black holes surrounded by a magnetized
insane.
disk of gas left over from their parent stars. In these environments, the rotation winds up the magnetic field, which funnels hot jets of particles traveling at nearly the speed of light.
What does a black hole do? Is it just flat like that? Do we actually have photos of black holes? Can somebody please tell me? I'll look up a photo of one if we do. If we don't have a photo of a black hole, dude, I'm not looking it up. I don't care.
The gas in this funnel creates two tight jets of high-energy gamma rays, like a celestial laser gun. So unlike other cosmic explosions which spread out and fade, GRBs stay focused and can be seen from much further. Any more detail would require too much mathematics for a YouTube video.
Pug can do math.
The universe
What was this? Oh my god. Oh my god, this video won't change your life, and it's just a pair of breasticiers. What? Bend gate, deflate gate, nipple gate, everything gate. UR2, cats, 10 hours. What? Dude, 87 million views on that is crazy. Mad clickbait right there.
would require too much
That's
mathematics
insane.
for a YouTube video. The universe is full of these cosmic snipers, firing blindly and randomly into the dark, and they're hitting us all the time. On average, we detect one per day. Fortunately, most are harmless.
One?
All
a
the
lot, I
bursts we
feel
have
like. Per
detected so
day?
far originated
What?
outside the Milky Way, too far away to hurt us. But a nearby GRB could be disastrous. If one goes off within a few light years of us, it would totally cook the surface of the Earth, or at least
Damn.
the half that's facing it. But even a more distant GRB could still end life on Earth. And it wouldn't need to score a headshot to kill us. If originating from a few thousand light years away, it would be 100 light years wide by the time it reaches us, washing over the solar system like a tidal wave. Again, the ozone layer protects us, but it's better equipped to handle the trickle of ultraviolet from the sun. A gamma ray burst would overwhelm it, leaving us exposed to deadly solar radiation.
How soon would we know if we were actually cooked, right? If it blew up 4,000 light years away, let's say, right? That's a long distance. Are we going to have like a week to prepare? Are we going to get like a 2 weeks notice? Or is it just like instantaneous because it's so fast blowing up? That's my question. I don't know if we're going to get to that in the next, minute and 10 seconds. But if that is the case, right? Like, is that going to actually, like, are we going to have any sort of notice? Like, or is it just like, we just blink and it's gone? Because technically this could happen at any second, right? A gamma ray burst could happen at any second, and it already happens at least once a day, he says. But one close to us. Could we actually just, like, be 1 second here and the next second just cooked?
Ozone takes years to replenish itself by natural processes, which is more than enough time for the sun to burn the Earth sterile,
Really?
or at
Only
least to kill
years?
most complex life. In fact, this may have already happened. A GRB has been suggested as one possible cause of the Ordovician extinction 450 million years ago
Oh
that
my God,
eradicated
really?
almost 85% of all marine species, although it's pretty much impossible to prove. Gamma ray bursts could even
True.
be one reason we don't see life anywhere else in the universe. They might be wiping clean huge chunks of it on a regular basis. It's been suggested that because of GRBs, only 10% of all galaxies might be hospitable to life similar to us. So, are they going to kill us? Probably not. In a galaxy like ours, there may only be one GRB per millennia, and to harm us, they must be close and directed at us. But since gamma rays travel at the speed of light, we won't know one is headed our way until it arrives. So there could already be a GRB on its way to kill us all, and we won't know it until it hits us, and we're
Okay, there we go. We got the answer right there. We wouldn't know it.
dead.
That is crazy. That's the end of the video right there. But that's crazy. Like, so we wouldn't know it. We wouldn't know it because it travels so fast. So by the time, like, it's 1 light year away, it's literally the next second we're just cooked. So like, that's insane to think about. So it could blow up quick, and we wouldn't have any idea of it. And one happening in our solar system in every millennia, that could wipe us out. So we probably have to get working on that quick. I could go into the lab and probably cook them some stuff, but it's just insane. Like, if somebody was in a spaceship, right? If somebody was out in space right now, like just floating around in some sort of spaceship, are they getting impacted by it the same way we are? Because they're like, have a coverage, they have all this. Does it work like that? Or if it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, does it work like that? Somebody might know in the comments, so let me know. But that's another question I had. I was confused on if it works if you're in space already in a spaceship. Like, do they have like measures for that, or is it just you're cooked also? Because I mean, how good are you? How good are you if you're out there alone and the entire Earth is cooked? Like, are you really doing anything, or are you gonna are you just gonna kind of sit out there and just like eat until you don't have any more food and just starve? Or are you gonna try to go find another planet? What would you do in that scenario? Let me know, because that would be very interesting if you could survive it, because I don't know if you can. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, come on. If a gamma ray bursts now, at least we all know we won't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So you can repay me the favor, because we could go any second. Don't waste this second. Hit that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and I have one question for you. What made you click on this video? Was it because you wanted to, or was it because the world made you? That's right. We are answering the question today. Do we have free will? Do you have free will? Do I have free will? And we are going to be figuring it out right now. Let's lock in for this.
Are you free? Free to choose what you do and make decisions? Or
I
are
think
you
so.
an NPC, unable
Whoa.
to decide anything for yourself?
Whoa, that's a slur.
You feel that you have control over your life, or at least what you'll have for breakfast. But this may be an illusion. Physics actually may force you to go through life as if on rails, with no free will at all. You experience free will all the time, like when you decided to watch this video instead of doing something useful.
Hey, that's what I
Free
just said.
will is your ability to decide by yourself what you do. It means that the future is an open arena that you can shape with your actions. It's at the core of human relationships. It means you are responsible for your actions, which is the basis of our moral and legal systems. There are too many dimensions for one short video: moral, psychological, biological, so we'll focus on the most essential part. Is free will even possible? Two main philosophical camps are fighting about this. No matter how we represent them, they'll be upset about it, so we'll use our own words. The first camp claims that the very idea of free will is fundamentally incompatible with the laws of the universe.
How? How is it
You
incompatible?
are an NPC. Whatever you exactly are, it's somehow made up of your physical brain and body. And these are made of cells, which are made of proteins, which are made of atoms and particles like protons or electrons. So fundamentally, you're a specific, quite lovely, dynamic pattern of particles. Particles have no will, no motivation, no freedom. They blindly follow the laws of physics. And we don't know why, but most laws of physics are deterministic, which means that things happen the way they do because of the things that came before. If you play pool and hit a ball at a specific speed and angle, The laws of physics tell you exactly how all the balls on the table will behave, their speeds, recoil directions, everything. These laws completely decide the behavior of all balls on the table. At the microscopic level, things work very much like that, only without players. Actions and reactions affect all the particles in the universe, creating a chain of causal effects that extends throughout time from the past to the future. Things happen, making other things happen. Now imagine that if right after the Big Bang, a super smart supercomputer looked at every single particle in the universe and noted all their properties. Just by applying the deterministic laws of physics, it should be able to predict what all the particles in existence would be doing until the end of time.
But also, wouldn't it be able to predict other pathways, which then would be multiverse, if you think about it like that, right? Because let's say there's a penny on the ground. You walk by, you see the penny, you pick it up, right? But then let's say you walk by and they're looking at particles. That means there's another particle that says you don't pick that penny up. And then that splits into a multiverse dimension. And then we're in pretty much Marvel Universe, right? And then that makes an infinite amount. So then in reality, one of those would be any kind of off-brand, would you call it, of what we are living today, right? Me putting my left hand up instead of my right hand, there's a universe where I put my right hand up, vice versa now. So how is it like free will? I mean, when it comes down to free will, technically, if there's no free will, that means everything. Oh my God, wait, my mind's blowing. Okay, let's go.
But if you're made of particles and it's technically possible to calculate what particles will do forever, then you never decided anything. Your past, present, and future were already predetermined and decided at the Big Bang. That would mean there is a kind of fate, and you are not free to decide anything. You may feel like you make decisions, but you're actually on autopilot. The motions of the particles that make up your brain cells that made you watch this video were decided 14 billion years ago. You're just in the room when it happens. You're only witnessing how the universe inside you unfolds in real time. But this can't be true because of quantum mechanics, right? Quantum processes are intrinsically random, not deterministic, and can't be predicted with total certainty. On the quantum pool table, balls can go randomly left or up or banana. Their behavior isn't set by what came before, but randomly decided in real time. But for the no free will camp, this doesn't affect their argument. They think that since quantum processes are random, they don't allow you to make any decisions. Because if there's randomness for the things that fundamentally make up your brain and body, these random processes make the decisions for you. How? Say an electron can randomly go right or left. If it goes left, it triggers electric currents between your neurons that create a neuronal process which triggers a long chain of actions that make you watch a YouTube video. Or it goes right and makes you clean your room. Just because the chain is extremely complex doesn't mean you have any control over it. So maybe your fate was not decided at the Big Bang, but it is decided at this very moment. The important part is that it's not decided by you.
So, it kind of was talking about what I said, like picking up a penny, not picking up a penny. But it's decided by you. Wouldn't that be free will? If it's decided by you, isn't that free will? Because it's like pre-planned, but at the same time, he said it wasn't pre-planned, which would make it decided by you, which would then give you free will. If I'm wrong, I don't think I am, though.
You get no say in this. You have no free will.
But
wow.
Wait, hold up. You just said decided by you.
The important part is that it's not decided by you.
It's not decided by you. Like I said, so you don't have free will is what he's trying to say. I guess I misheard.
You get no say in this. You have no free will. Wow. This is kind of a bummer because the argument fundamentally seems to make sense. Except, no, screams the free will side. This is a really bad way to think about the universe. You are the main character. We know that we can reduce everything that exists to its basic particles and the laws that guide them. While this makes physics feel like the only scientific discipline that actually matters, there's a problem. You can't explain everything in our universe only in terms of particles. One key
True.
fact about reality
Very
that we
true.
can't explain by looking just at electrons and quantum stuff is emergence. Emergence is when many small things together create new fundamental traits that didn't exist before. A drop of water is just a sextillion H2O molecules. If you get water on your pants, they get wet. But what is wetness? H2O molecules are not wet, but your pants are definitely wet now. Many small things together just created something new that doesn't exist at the level of the individual molecules. Emergence occurs at all levels of reality, and reality seems to be organized in layers: atoms, molecules, cells, tissues, organs, you, society. Put many things in one layer together and they'll create the next layer up. Every time they do, entirely new properties emerge. One atom can't handle information, but many of them together can form a DNA molecule. Molecules are not alive, but many of them can form a cell, and cells are alive. With each jump up the complexity ladder, the rules of what's possible change. Completely new things emerge that are much more than the sum of their parts. And here, the reductionist view of the universe breaks down. The layers of reality need each other to make sense. You can explain living things with cells, cells with molecules, and molecules with atoms. But because of emergence, you can't start with quantum particles and reconstruct the universe. You can't explain galaxies with quantum mechanics or human psychology with quarks.
So then, if you're thinking about it like that, right? Let's say from the other standpoint, not the free will standpoint, if you're an NPC and you're programmed to like kind of go anywhere you're programmed to, and everything you do is a program, right? Would that mean in their aspect that the water that the particles make up is just technically part of like a simulation, and like that was supposed to happen too, and then is everything kind of in the coding? What in the Matrix are they talking about?
This is not the whole story. Reality is not just structured in layers, but for some reason, the layers are also largely independent of each other. Things existing within the same layer can influence each other and maybe a layer up or down. But often they don't seem to influence things much higher up or down. To figure out how your organs work, you don't need quarks. To understand politics, you don't need to know about cells. If you want to explain things happening on one layer, you can only do that by staying close to that layer. No, screams the no free will camp in frustration.
Oh God, they're
you
coming
can't
in.
just use magic to explain free will. But the emergence argument doesn't invoke magic. It just says that thinking about free will in terms of determinism and fundamental laws is a dead end. A kind of category error, like trying to explain galaxies by looking at your digestive tract. It's part of a reductionist school of thinking about the universe that very successfully shaped science for a long time, but that's challenged by emergence. So maybe trying to understand free will by looking at fundamental particles, deterministic laws, and quantum mechanics misses the point. The question we should be asking is, which layer of reality is relevant to free will? Well, just like no individual molecule creates wetness, not a single cell in your brain wants to watch YouTube. But one layer up, your brain, made of 80 billion interconnected neurons, does. On this layer, all the things relevant to you emerge: your consciousness, character, feelings, your fears and dreams. This is where you emerge. We don't know why and how, but we know that you're here right now.
I think consciousness is crazy to begin with, right? Consciousness is absolutely crazy. Because it's like, how are you conscious? How do you prove to somebody else that you're conscious right now? Because there's a lot of people that talk about how they're the only person alive and that they don't believe that anybody else around them is actually like real. Because you can't prove it to somebody that you're real. You could sit there, you could be right in front of them, you could touch them, but you can't prove that they're real like you. And it's a really weird thing to say. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about and you guys feel that way, let me know in the comments down below. But it is a very, I think, common thing. And one thing I actually thought was very interesting was I think like 70% of people in the world don't have internal monologue. Now, you guys might not know what this is if you are part of that 70%, but internal monologue is like a voice that you talk to yourself in your head with. And it may be swayed. Some people might have it, but it might be very like different from another person's. But 70% of people in the world don't even have that little voice in their head, which is crazy to think about. So like, could some people be NPCs and could some people be, you know, the main character, vice versa? Like, it's wild. It's such a weird concept that some people don't have that, because I have that. I have a voice that constantly goes off in my head, always just talking and yapping, and homeboy won't shut up. But at the same time, like, I feel like you can switch it and you can turn it off, right? But like, I can't turn it off. Like, I've talked to some people that are like, yeah, but I can just turn it off. I'm like, I can't turn it off. Bro's always yapping up there. Other people, though, are like, I met a few people that are like, no, I don't have a voice in my head. What are you, crazy? And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I look at them like they're crazy. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that is insane to think about. So maybe just some people are different in a sense where there are planned parts of their life, is what I was thinking. Is like, maybe you have planned points. You have an end point and you have a start point. Maybe you have a few crucial canon events in your life, but to get there, you kind of wobbles around. But wouldn't to get there be to follow the path to be there? That's where that comes in. It's all a dilemma. It's all a dilemma.
How all the things going on in your brain play off each other to make you who you are is a whole different can of worms. But on this layer of reality, you are part of the decision process. Because at this level, you are just one more physical cause of whatever happens in your brain. You are shaped by your decisions, and your decisions are shaped by you. You have a say about this layer of reality. You are not just witnessing how the universe inside you unfolds, you're actually taking part in it. And you're free to do so however you see fit. At least this is how some on the free will side see it. Conclusion and opinion. So, who's right? Is there free will? We don't know. If you ask us personally, we think the argument for free will is more appealing because it brings the complexity of the universe to the table. Maybe existence is just the sum of its parts, but at least for now, it seems the universe is not that simple. But even if we don't have free will, it's not clear what that changes for practical purposes. You and us, we humans, on a purely subjective basis, feel like we have free will and that your decisions are yours to make.
Is that BMO?
As long as we're not sure either way, and if it feels like you're making decisions, what does it matter if a non-existent supercomputer could have calculated the future at the Big Bang? Or if quantum stuff all the way down randomly nudges your cells one way or the other? Free will that feels free is good enough for us. In any case, now you can decide what to do next. Maybe get some stuff done. Or watch more of our videos. It's your decision. Probably.
Who knows whose decision it is? For real.
At least you can pick which video to watch next, in theory. What you have
The
ready...
advertisement. He does an advertisement at the end, so it's not like... I don't think there's too much at the end left. Yeah, it's just like the advertisement stuff. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do we have free will? Or are we just living in a simulation? Or not so much a simulation, but living with a start and an end point and just following a path at this point? Because I think that we have free will. If we didn't have free will, what would be the point of anything? Because then if everybody start doing everything, if everybody was like, I'm going to stop working because I don't have free will, so why would I bother? Doesn't that technically follow the path? And then wouldn't that just down spike everything, right? So at least free will gives you motivation to do things. At least free will helps you. Like, the idea of free will is way better than the idea of not free will in reality. But let me know what you guys think, because I am very curious. With that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. Honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, is it me? Is it your free will? Is it your destiny? Are you just following a life path? Who knows? But you can do at least one thing with your free will today, and that's hit that subscribe button. Because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and today we are going to be watching a little video called End of Space, Creating a Prison for Humanity. Now, when I think about that, when I think about the end of space, right, what's really out there? Is it what they mean by the end of space at the end of the universe? Because it says creating a prison for humanity, and that got me thinking. are we just trapped? Can we actually not end like enter the exit of space? Is that what it's called? I don't even know. But I feel like it's time to learn potentially what we're going to be doing. You know, what we could do, how far we could make it. It's time to lock in, and it is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Space travel is the most exciting and challenging adventure humanity has ever undertaken. But in an irony of history, we may stop ourselves from going into space the more we do it. With every rocket launched and with every satellite deployed, we're creating a trap for ourselves that gets deadlier and more dangerous every year. If it's ever activated, it could end the space age and trap us on our planet for decades or even centuries.
Damn, trap us for centuries? I don't know about that. Because, like, imagine being trapped here. We kind of already are. I mean, it's not really going to change
Getting
much.
something into space is incredibly hard. To do so, you need to move very, very fast, at first straight up to leave the atmosphere, then sideways to begin a sort of circling around the Earth, still very, very fast. If you do that successfully, you can enter a low Earth orbit. And once in orbit, it's very hard to get out of orbit. Unless you have energy to spare, you're sort of locked in here, falling around the Earth forever. That's great for things we want to stay up, like space stations and satellites. And so we moved the majority of humanity's space infrastructure to this place, just a few hundred kilometers above the surface. Just high enough so that the atmosphere is so thin that orbiting things can stay up for centuries before air resistance can slow them enough to bring them back to Earth. But this is also the source of our deadly trap. Rockets are really metal cylinders that keep big piles of fuel in place. Whenever a portion of the fuel has been spent, the empty tanks are dropped to make the rocket lighter. Some parts crash down to Earth or burn up in the atmosphere. But most of the useless rocket parts stay up and begin to orbit the planet. After decades of space travel, low Earth orbit is a junkyard of spent boosters, broken satellites, and millions of pieces of shrapnel from missile tests and explosions. Right now, we know of around 2,600 defunct satellites, 10,000 objects bigger than a monitor, 20,000 as large as an apple, 500,000 pieces the size of a marble, and at least 100 million parts so small they can't be tracked. This debris is moving at speeds of up to 30,000 kilometers per hour, circling Earth on crisscrossing orbits multiple times a day. Orbital speeds are so fast that being hit by debris the size of a pea is like being shot by a plasma gun. On impact...
Oh my god, what? So we can't even, like, you can't even build a cardboard box and go out there. You have to, so, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm so flabbergasted by what that said. I can't even pronunciate words. What I was going to say was, does that mean things have to be, like, bulletproof or even the next level past bulletproof, like spaceships and stuff? I don't know why I messed up saying that. But, yeah, what?
The debris vaporizes, releasing enough energy to punch holes straight through solid metal. So, we've covered the space around our planet with millions of deadly pieces of destruction. And we also put a $1 trillion global infrastructure network right in the danger zone. It performs critical duties essential to the modern world. Global communication, GPS and navigation, collecting weather data, looking out for asteroids, and all manner of scientific discoveries. Things we would miss very much if they suddenly went away.
I would miss it. Like, $10 million or go one day without thermal imaging. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Just one pea-sized bullet hits one of our 1,100 working satellites, it will be destroyed instantly. 3 or 4 satellites are already being destroyed this way every year. As the number of satellites and the amount of junk in orbit is expected to grow tenfold in the next decade, we're approaching a tipping point.
So this is what happens when they say shoot our trash out to space. Because people like say that. They're like, oh, we have so much trash on the planet. Why don't we just throw it out to space? This is what would happen. We would just have trash all around, which I bet they're going to do that at some point. I bet they are going to throw trash out. Because, I mean, right now it's just like all in our oceans and like on some streets at this point. But like pretty soon it's gonna be like you can't even see stars with all the trash, which is gonna be like disgusting.
But
Not
the
soon,
worst thing
but
in
far,
space
but
is
soon.
not tiny pieces of junk. The worst thing would be an unstoppable chain reaction that turns a lot of non-junk things into junk. For example, if two satellites hit each other in just the right way. If satellites collide, they don't stop and fall out of the sky. It's more of a splash than a crash. Orbital speeds are so fast, solid pieces spray right through each other, transforming the two satellites into clouds of thousands of little things still fast enough to destroy more satellites. This could trigger the slowest and most destructive sort of domino effect, a collision cascade. Like a shotgun spray, each collision creates more bullets. What was once a single tiny target, very unlikely to hit anything, becomes a wall of destruction, hungry to make more. As more and more satellites are destroyed, the destruction accelerates exponentially, eventually destroying everything parked in orbit. But space is very empty, so the first few collisions may take a long time. By the time we realize what's happening, it's too late.
Oh wow.
1 year, 1 satellite is destroyed, and that's no big deal. The next year, 5. The year after, 50, until
Oh,
there's
God.
nothing left. The situation in orbit is
How do they know how far to keep the satellites away from each other? And how do the satellites know how to do that? Because, like, if the satellites are just stuck in orbit, if they're all in the same orbit, are they just, like, spaced apart? Because, like, I remember a long time ago, I saw the Tesla Starlink go by, and they were all in a straight line just going, right? So are they all just attached to the same orbit? It looks like an alien. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Tesla Starlink, but it looks like an alien, like a bunch of alien spaceships are just having a drag race. It does look insane. But does that just mean that they're all stuck in the same orbit? I'm not too familiar. You know, I haven't really looked at the satellite side of things. I'm more on the saving humanity side and building like a rocket ship to kind of like, you know, travel the universe. Not so much on like the satellite side. So, I mean, I could probably start it. It just seems a little easy personally. But let me know what you guys think about, like, does it orbit? Somebody knows, so somebody will tell me.
rapidly worsening, and we may already be past the point of no return. Within 10 years, space around Earth may no longer be viable for long-term satellites or rockets. The worst-case scenario is horrifying. A debris field made of hundreds of millions of pieces, many too small to track, moving at 30,000 kilometers per hour.
Oh, this is
It
the
would
prison.
effectively create a
Oh.
deadly barrier around Earth, possibly too dangerous to cross.
Oh, no.
Dreams of moon bases, Mars colonies, or space travel at all may be set back centuries. And the loss of
Yeah.
our space infrastructure
Wow.
would send some of the technology we rely on daily back to the 1970s. But it might not be too late to clean up our mess. While the space industry has become better at avoiding space
big
junk,
net.
it's still growing fast, and occasional weapon tests don't help. So there have been a couple of wild but also serious suggestions about how to quickly remove as much deadly space junk as possible without creating more in the process.
So why don't we make a big net, like they have a net right here. We make a big net that's attached to a spaceship. As it shoots up, it catches all the debris, and we do like 4 or 5 of those runs, right? We could do it as like test runs and stuff too, like test the spaceship going up. And nowadays, spaceships can land. I think Elon Musk made at least like 2 or 3 land. So, you know, those are on paper. There's probably more that aren't even on paper that have landed. But if that's the case, then couldn't we just catch it all in a net and then just bring it all back down?
Lots of
I don't know.
ideas are being thrown around, and some of the most seriously considered involve capture and return missions, which are being tested now.
Nice, okay.
One method
They
involves
got my
meeting a
idea.
piece of junk in orbit with a small satellite loaded with a net. Once
Dude, I am a genius. They literally tapped into my brain and just started doing this. No way. No way they heard me right now and they just started getting into building. I mean, that's insane. Like, that's literally like NASA, hit me up for a hire or a sponsorship, either way. But like, that's insane. Or Dyson, hit me up for a sponsorship too, because I know you guys are really smart. So, you know, if you guys want like an air wrap sponsor before this, don't buy it. After, dude, buy it, like for real. But I can't believe they took my net idea. That was copyrighted. They're getting sued.
port, a small rocket could be used to bring it down towards Earth. Targets too large for a net might be instead caught with a harpoon on a tether.
Oh, a
Instead of
harpoon?
firing a rocket,
You can have
the
that
cleaner
one.
would deploy a large sail to reduce atmospheric drag and accelerate orbital decay. And there are lots of other wild sci-fi sounding proposals too. Some might use giant electromagnets. These magnetic tugs work by pushing on the magnetic components inside satellites that they use to stabilize and orientate themselves
That's
in
too
Earth's magnetic field. These may be safer and more reliable than nets and harpoons because they never have to make contact with the junk they're handling, so there's no risk of accidentally breaking up their target into more junk. As for the tiniest bits of junk, lasers might be the key to vaporizing them entirely. Satellites with lasers wouldn't need to visit their targets, they can shoot them from far away. Large objects can't exactly be shot down, but lasers can be used to ablate them or burn tiny amounts of material off the side to push the junk to a safer orbit. Whatever technology we use in the end, we better start doing something soon, before 100 million bullets become a trillion and the trap is set. If we don't act, our adventure in space might end before it's even begun.
God, think about that for a second. We might never get out there because global warming on the outside is happening. I don't know if that's what they actually call it from all the trash. I just remember that's a thing too. But it's just like the thought process of like I don't know how many satellites are getting destroyed now, but like 18,000 or 18 million little debris are like floating around out there at like maximum velocity. Like imagine if we get to a point where we can't even do anything about it, and then we lose all the technology because probably, I mean, we lost the technology to go to the moon, you know, quotation marks on the go to the moon part. Let me know if you guys thought we went to the moon. We can tap into that in another video. I would love to tap into that. Let's also tap into flat earth too. Let's debunk all of it. I'll get into a plane right now. But it's just like the thought process of like, imagine if we got trapped on Earth. I mean, we are trapped on Earth. Don't get me wrong. Probably none of us are leaving Earth. But imagine if we have the opportunity to in the future, but we ruin it now. That's why I'm saying, guys, stop littering, dude. Stop littering. If you guys just stop littering, then we wouldn't have to worry about, you know, getting stuck on Earth. That's what I'm going to leave this video at. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. And honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, what we doing here for real? I'm like literally saving the planet one step at a time, one trash at a time. You see a candy bar on the ground, eat it, throw it away. If it's not finished, if it's like, let's say it has a bite taken out of it, finish it anyways. Be respectful, throw it away. But with that being said, thank you guys. If you guys haven't already, I just don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button. It's embarrassing. Like, it's okay. You don't have to be discouraged. You can hit it. You can hit it. Nobody's looking. Here, look it. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? I wasn't looking. Did you do it? Good. You did? Because if you didn't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Hey, yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy, Whiteout, and imagine this. Imagine if us on this planet right now got absolutely booted from the solar system. What would happen to us? I think that the world would probably freeze over, right? We'd probably freeze over in maybe a matter of seconds. I don't know, maybe minutes, maybe it would take a week. But we're going to maybe find that answer out today. That's right. We're maybe going to find that answer out today because we are watching what if Earth got kicked out of the solar system. Rogue Earth. It's time to lock in. It is time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
The night sky seems peaceful and orderly. But in reality, stars are careening through the galaxy at speeds of hundreds of thousands of kilometers per hour. Not bound by static formations, but changing neighborhoods constantly. Fortunately, space is big, and so the stars of the Milky Way are very unlikely to hit us. Unfortunately, they don't have to hit anything to make us have a really bad time on Earth. And there are already stars starting to get very close.
There is actually I don't think it's a star, but there's like an asteroid that's coming past Earth, which is supposed to be like the size of Mount Everest, I heard. Wild to think. Like, what? That's about to come by? Could have been a spaceship that blew up or something. I don't know.
To understand how dangerous stars are to us, we need to talk about gravity. Gravity attracts every piece of matter to every other piece of matter in the universe. You are attracted by an atom a million light years away and vice versa. Luckily, this force gets weaker over distance, and it also depends on how massive something is. So things that are close and are very massive are more attractive, winning the cosmic tug of war. This way, massive things define how smaller things behave around them. The Sun makes up 99.75% of all the mass in the solar system, and so it shapes the behavior and orbits of everything else in it. Billions of years ago, after the Sun was born, the solar system was a chaotic and dangerous place as the planets were formed from countless little pieces that collided constantly. But over the eons, a stable balance emerged. Today, most planets and asteroids have settled into safe and predictable orbits. We have the inner and outer planets, the asteroid and Kuiper belt, and at the edge, the Oort cloud, a giant sphere of comets orbiting slowly in cold storage. We really don't want this balance to be disturbed. If another star came too close to us, its gravity would pull on everything in the solar system like a spoiled toddler, messing up the pleasant order of the planets and asteroids and comets. This isn't some imaginary danger. Some 70,000 years ago, a red dwarf-brown dwarf binary system passed through the Oort cloud and messed things up. It might even have sent a deadly onslaught of asteroids our way. But it could take 2 million years until those visitors from the Oort cloud arrive in the inner solar system. But there's a much bigger problem on the horizon. Gliese 710, a red dwarf with about half the mass of the Sun, is currently headed towards the solar system. In about 1 million years, it'll pass through the Oort cloud and become the brightest star in the night sky.
All the cool stuff happens when we're not going to be around. I'm kind of upset. Some people would be like, I'm glad I'm not going to be around. I would say otherwise. Like, imagine being around for that. Yeah, could we go extinct? Yeah, could it be torture? Yeah, could it be chaos in the streets? Sure. But, dude, like, imagine. Like, we're so boring now.
A close flyby like this would unfold over hundreds of thousands of years, disrupting the orbits of millions of objects in the Oort cloud considerably. If we're unlucky, it will trigger a new period of planetary bombardment similar to the early solar system. The night sky could be filled with comets and asteroids raining down on the inner solar system. The larger ones could cause dinosaur-level mass extinctions and would be bad for the stock market.
Yeah,
but it could get much
bit
worse. The galaxy is an intense place, and stars get close to each other regularly. So it is possible that a star could come much closer and not just pass us, but fly directly through the inner solar system. This would be very bad in the extreme. The chance of another star colliding with the Sun is astronomically unlikely, but that isn't what we're worried about. If another star were to pass by about as close as the Earth is from the Sun, it could easily eject the Earth from the solar system. The odds of such an event are estimated to be around 1 in 100,000 in the next 5 billion years.
God, 5
Small,
billion?
but not absurdly so. As we discussed in another video,
no.
there seem to be billions of rogue planets doing their own thing in the galaxy, and this is one way to make them. So if this were to happen with an average red dwarf, what would happen on Earth? Kicking Earth out of the solar system. As the star enters the solar system, a small orangish dot appears in the sky that grows bigger and bigger for months, eventually becoming visible during the day. It would get bigger and much brighter than the moon. Too bright to look at directly.
Like
the night sky would be filled with an eerie red glow.
That would be
After
cool.
a few months, it would start shrinking again. But so would the Sun. Over a few years, the Sun slowly grows smaller in the sky, and with it warmth and light start to dissipate. All around the world, as the days turn dark, the final winter of humanity would begin. The polar ice caps begin to grow and spread, while plants shrivel and die. Forests freeze, and animals die in droves. As the Earth passes the orbit of Mars, the average surface temperature has plummeted to near minus 50 degrees Celsius. From space, Earth begins to look like an icy moon, the blue-green surface becoming the pale grey-white of death. As global infrastructure breaks down, people huddle together indoors, burning what they can for warmth as the temperature continues to drop, counting the days until they'll be out of food which no longer grows. Everybody living at the surface is living on borrowed time. By the time Earth reaches Jupiter's orbit, surface temperatures sink to minus 150 degrees Celsius, lower than the coldest ever recorded temperatures in Antarctica. Needless to say, by now, almost everyone is dead. Without the energy from sunlight to evaporate water, clouds don't form and the water cycle stops. The polar ice caps eventually touch at the equator and the oceans become covered in a thick layer of ice. As more and more of its heat leaks out, more water freezes onto the bottom of the ice sheet, the concentration of salt in the deep ocean grows, poisoning most animals that survived here. Although around hydrothermal vents, communities of extremophiles might adapt even to these circumstances. Deep below the surface, some bacteria would not notice much of any of this, as they're still kept warm by the radioactive decay of elements in the Earth's core. As the Earth reaches the orbit of Pluto and the Kuiper Belt, the Sun is still the brightest star in the sky, but it's one among many, with stars now visible during the day. The temperature is now barely 40 degrees Celsius above absolute zero, below the freezing temperature of the gases in the atmosphere. A weird spectacle, enjoyed by no one unfortunately, unfolds as the atmosphere turns into nitrogen and then oxygen snow. Over a few years, it's deposited into an icy 10-meter thick sheet all over the planet's surface, with only a thin whisper of gas remaining. The frozen corpses of flora and fauna are buried beneath them. As Earth leaves the solar system, it becomes a rogue planet, traveling alone through the dark, lifeless and in solitude. But weirdly enough, there is hope. Humanity.
One thing I wanted to say was, maybe it is actually a good thing we won't be around. Maybe it is a good thing. Also, imagine just being there and seeing all of that, because you are witnessing something that, might have happened a trillion light years away. But also, not only that, it's like you sit there and like you are truly the last people on Earth. Like, you are one of the last few billion, maybe, people on Earth. Like, that would be such an insane thing to think about. And I'm sure that would be like really dark times, and it would really suck, especially being like, imagine being the last person alive. Could you go underground? Potentially. Would the lava burn out and stuff? Probably. So there might not be too many ways. I wonder if there is actually a way to survive
We would
it.
not be surprised by this potential extinction event. We'd notice it thousands of years in advance. There's not a lot we could do to stop a star, but we could prepare. Most of us would perish, but a few million could survive in huge artificial complexes powered by geothermal and nuclear energy, possibly even fusion if we can learn to use the ice around us for power.
All those rich people would be buying that up. It'd be like Vault Tech.
Here, humanity might survive for hundreds of thousands of years. At some point, we would become used to our circumstances, and new generations would watch documentaries in disbelief about the time we had our own star and could walk the surface of Earth.
That would be
And at some point, we might decide to look for another home. If the Earth were lucky enough to pass by another star with a habitable planet, we could try to make a fresh start. Spaceflight, oddly enough, would become very easy without the atmosphere in the way. So it's not unthinkable that the last survivors would leave Earth behind and try again on a new planet around a new star.
That would be really
Maybe
cool.
one day, thousands of years later, the descendants of humanity will tell legends about Earth's ancient past. Stories of our lost home, of a mysterious icy planet, floating alone and empty through the dark of space.
That is so insane to think about. Like, imagine that, because there's no atmosphere, so you could just fly out. You could just be like, all right, bet I'm leaving, and just leave, land on a new planet. And then they're talking about Earth. Did that happen on Mars? Let me know. Did that happen on Mars? Somebody's got to know the answer. Somebody's got to know the answer. It's got to be in a book somewhere. But like, oh my God, can you imagine that? What an insane ride that was. What is an insane ride? You go from the worst experience of your life to potentially something it could potentially be amazing come out of it, right? Hopefully we get space travel with an atmosphere still, right? But worst case scenario, we could survive, and we would know thousands of years in advance. Thousands is a lot, right? We wouldn't even, you'd have 10 generations if everybody lived to 100. You'd have 10 generations of people being able to figure out a solution to all that. So it is technically I guess you can say it can be overcome, which is kind of relieving to know. But anyways, with that being said, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. I would like to hear about it. You know, I would like to hear what you guys have, any thoughts or opinions or anything. Maybe you have a few, like, oh, maybe this happened a long time ago. Let me know. I don't know. I like reading them. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. Honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like now you guys know. And you know what? As a thank you, I honestly would just take a subscribe. That's right. Because if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the White Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.